Kia ora koutou katoa, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome along to the finale, the big last hurrah of the domestic athletics season here in Aotearoa. My name is Hayden Sherman. I'll be joining you for the coverage of this incredible lineup of athletics that we've got for you this afternoon and this evening. We're going to have two sessions, starting off focusing on the field events and the sprints, and then starting from 8 o'clock, so 7:55, we'll come live with the second session. There'll be the night of fives, the 5,000 metres. So there you go. There's a little bit of the lineup, starting off with the hammer throw and the men's pole vault. And then we've got the 100 metres heats, and we'll have the finals of those later this evening. We've got the discus, the pole vault, and some very speedy 800 metres to come as well. There's a little look of the rest of this first session. We'll wrap it up with those 100-metre finals as we conclude this season. Usually the night of fives is the way that we open up the season. Due to COVID, we've had a slight delay in this event, but great to have it back. And what a wonderful way to wrap up what's been an incredible summer of athletics here in New Zealand. So as you can see on screen, we've got the women's hammer throw lining up. Now we will have... Let me run through the start list here. We've got Nicole Bradley from North Harbour Bays, Nadia Kimmerich from North Harbour Bays, Lexi Maples from Athletics Whanganui, Julia Ratcliffe from Hamilton City Hawks, Jermaine Samoa from Papakura, and Jasmine Samoa from Papakura. The two twins in there. There's your start list for the women's hammer. Of course, so good to have Julia Ratcliffe, the New Zealand champ from last year, back in the throwing circle. Remember, she had that wonderful battle last year, back and forth with Lauren Bruce, exchanging the New Zealand record and going all the way to Tokyo and placing 9th at the Olympics. So she'll be one to look out for in the hammer. She'll, of course, have a big challenge behind her with Nicole Bradley breaking 70 metres this season for the first time and looking very good at the Nationals just a few weeks ago. Now, here's the men's hammer throw start list. We've got Anthony Nobilo, reigning New Zealand champ, I think 3-time New Zealand champ, alongside the youngsters Damien Anai and Liam Nachok-Wolf, both from Papakura. So Anthony has been in good form. He threw very well at the Nationals, really affirming his place as the king of hammer throwing here in New Zealand. There he is, getting warmed up. Now, conditions, for those who are wondering, it is, you can see there, the way the tassels there are barely moving. It is very muggy. It is very light winds and nice and warm. So you would say as long as those clouds stay dry and avoid any precipitation, we're going to be in for a very good night of athletics with warm conditions and very light winds. So Anthony Nobilo will be kicking things off for us in the hammer throw. So, of course, 6 rounds for the hammer throw, and I think we'll be going men and women all combined in the same event. Now, joined with me in studio, back from sunny Australia, is Portia Bing, reigning New Zealand champ in the 400 hurdles, New Zealand record holder, and you've been pretty speedy lately, Portia.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. It's been a pretty hectic season. I was just downstairs, finished off a bit of training session, was having a chat to my coach about how much almost out of practice of travelling I am. I've been across 3 different time zones in 2 weeks. So
wow.
Yeah, it's been full on.
It's like, wow, the era of COVID is sort of coming to an end, and we can actually, was it weird travelling? Going on a plane?
Very unusual. And you get over there and they've got different restrictions, virtually none. Yeah. And, you know, everyone's had COVID over there, so they're not worried about it. And you're like, oh, gosh, I've got a race in 2 days, trying to avoid everyone. And there was a funny moment when a man asked me to hold the lift, and he didn't have a mask on, and he had all his bags. He's like, oh, hold the lift for me. And I'm pushing the button, closed doors.
Love it. Well, good to have you back. And, it'll be cool to hear about your plans for the rest of the year and accumulating points and targeting more times. Trying to find someone to run with. Going over to Australia, we're expecting you to have a bit more company, but you dominated again.
Yeah, I was hoping that you were going to get out there. You told me you were practicing for a few other events, and I was really thinking, I was like, do you know what? This is the year.
Yeah, me and the 400 hurdles, that would be very interesting to see how that one would go. So these hammer throwers just finishing up their warm-ups. They'll be ready to roll very, very soon. And Portia, what are you looking forward to this afternoon? There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there is a lot going on this afternoon. I think one of the big things that I've just realised as I've arrived is how nice it is out there. So Millennium's obviously got great training facilities, but it's not always known for the greatest winds. But, we have a look out there. It's looking pretty still. It's very, very muggy. So
muggy.
Yeah, so I actually was thinking that a lot of these athletes will pull out some really good performances today. I mean, it's one of those things I think people look on TV and they're like, oh, it looks so overcast, it doesn't look nice. But that humidity can make a fast track. It makes these dry circles for our throwers, which some throwers prefer dry circles, others prefer a little bit of wet conditions to move a bit faster. But yeah, I think overall it's looking like it's going to be quite a good competition. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the junior sprinters come through today. Cool. So I think we'll see quite a lot of them. There's been some really great performances over the year, and and also really looking forward to seeing Julia out there today.
Totally. Now, this is the first time we've seen her this season. I've been trying to rack my brains if she's thrown elsewhere. I believe it's the first time.
I do think it is the first time that she's thrown this season. We've got to remember that she performed so amazing last year, really hit a new level, did amazing at the Olympics. That for a lot of those athletes to hit those highs, you've got to take a bit of time to recover, rebuild, and she has the luxury of, I'm assuming, kind of already qualified for all the events this year.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that this is her first event coming out.
Yeah, very cool. Now, we do have to talk about your training buddy heading over to Serbia and running very well. We've just had the World Indoor Champs last weekend. Did you stay up late and catch the action, or did you catch highlights the next day?
Yeah, I stayed up and watched Zoe run. It was quite funny because our coach, James Mortimer, was, he was up watching her and then he was watching me, and we wondered when did he actually sleep, because then he was out here coaching his athletes and then he was at his day job at the school.
He's got a day job, far out.
So it was amazing seeing Zoe run over there, and I think it's a pretty big inspiration for a lot of the young athletes coming through to see that, cool, there's pathways in sprints, there's pathways in everything in athletics, and I think that's one of the great things is to see athletes starting to break through those traditional barriers that we see. So that idea of traditionally, back in the day we would have said, oh, New Zealand doesn't produce pole vaulters, but then Eliza came along and New Zealand doesn't produce sprinters, but now we've got people like Zoe. So I think it's really exciting to see that. And even obviously high jump, that's a really big one. A lot of people don't associate New Zealand with high jump, but now we've obviously got Hamish. So
we've got a bronze medal, first ever New Zealand global medal in the high jump.
Yeah, exactly. And it's super amazing. I think that's one of the exciting things with events like this. You come out and there's so many different events, but you know that any of these athletes can make it internationally.
Now, we've got the men's pole vault start list there. So we've got Charlie Cameron from Christ College, Etienne Dupree, Jules Peters, Nicholas Southgate, James Stein and Ruben Vogel. Now, that is really the who's who of men's pole vaulting. We've got the top three from nationals will be lining up. So that will be a very exciting competition. And whenever James and Nick line up together, I love watching this because they seem to trade off each other, swapping turns, claiming national titles. Both got PBs within a few centimetres of each other. So they're up sort of mid-5. So expect them to open up their day once they hit the 5 metre mark roughly. But we'll be kicking things off with the bar at 4:40. And I'm just seeing if it's a practice bar. No, I think we might be right on into it.
Yes, these are good conditions for pole vault as well. Not any no wind actually.
Yeah.
He looks his flag back there. So sometimes they are looking for a little bit of a tail, just as long as it's not a crosswind. Is my understanding for pole vault.
Oh, I thought it might have just stuck on, but Ruben knocks it off on his first attempt. So he's your under 20 reigning champ. He cleared 4:45 to win that national title.
Yeah, definitely. So he's just going to obviously go back. I think he will have a little bit of chat to his coach. One of the interesting things there is in pole vault, a lot of the time we see them almost butcher that first jump, right?
Yeah.
You think, oh, they're nowhere near it, or for him in that case, he actually was quite close, and they go back, talk to the coach, and then they come back with a brand new pole and they make it by half a metre.
Yeah, totally.
So it's a very, very, very technical event, so many different elements. There'll be things like moving back your run-up depending on, obviously, how fast the track is and things like that as well.
So, of course, we just had the men's world record broken by Mondo Duplantis, who lives in another stratosphere, really, like 6 meters 20 at the World Indoors. Just phenomenal. And I hope he's getting some sort of bonus for every time he breaks that world record, because I think he owns the last 5 or 6 world records. Now here is Charlie Cameron from Christ College. Over he goes, 440 on the board. Now he's got a PB of 455, which he just set the other day. So I think just at the weekend. So
good. So he's coming in with really great form. I think we just saw that on that jump there. So clean, so easy. Only 10 centimetres off his PB. He's come to really compete today. So, yeah, the 2 youngsters, 17-year-old Ruben Vogel on screen going up against 18-year-old Charlie Cameron. This is Ruben's second attempt. Bar is at, did we say 440? Yeah, 440, yeah. Oh, has the height, and he's clear, skims it. A little sigh of relief there. There we go. That's almost like what we just talked about before, that idea of they go back, talk to the coach, they make some technical adjustments, and as you can see, he got the height there. But one of the things Ruben will be looking as well is just how can he improve that distance. So is he going to go for a bit of a stiffer pole? Does he need to spend a little bit more time on the ground? There's all those kind of considerations. And we see his... I think I actually see James over there in the corner. Yeah, yep. He must not be jumping. He's over there coaching. So James does coach, I think, pretty much all the development guys now. Yeah, so he's doing a really great job. And they've got quite a big group as well. So So does that mean we may not see him jumping if he's in coaching mode? Or yeah, I would assume
potentially
so.
He'll put his coach's hat down and then start jumping? Okay, we're moving up the bar now. Oh, taking that one down this time, Charlie. So both these 2 jumpers opened up at 420 before we went live, and had first-time clearances at 420, and then both missed at 440 for the first attempts, and then both went clear on the second attempt. So that's first attempt at 460 for Charlie, which would be a new PB, was a miss on his first attempt.
I think that's always the exciting things for athletes. One of the big things you want to do consistently in competitions is come and attempt PB height. So even if you're not clearing it, it's getting to that point where at a level you're like, cool, I'm consistently going for a PB every time. That's kind of a sign of being in really good form for these athletes. And a lot of these athletes will probably be heading over the ditch to the Australian champs next week as well. So it'll be a bit of a practice run for them as well.
And this is on their home turf. We've got 5 boys from North Harbour Bays. Will be very used to this particular runway. I love the little shoes there as the markers. No need for any fancy little markers for your run up. Just plonk the trainers down. There we go. So you can see the difference. Now I wonder if that's Etienne's and Nick's. Oh no, that. So interesting there. We've got multiple shoes set up. Is this for midway in the run-up, or is one of them a warm-up run-up?
Yeah, so they're all for different marking points. So I think it's, if you think about it, this is obviously my understanding, it's almost like in a long jump where you've got, you might be 12 strides, 6 strides out. It's just a checkpoint for you to understand that, yes, I'm accelerating quick enough, I'm going through the phases correctly. So it's just for the athlete, and actually a lot of the time for the coach to get that feedback. Cool. Because a lot of this does come down to these athletes about how consistent they do their run-up. So one of the big things is as the bar goes up, some athletes get more hyped and they try to run harder and faster, and it's almost like they just need to keep doing the same thing. Just go through the motions that you practice and not let that adrenaline get to you. Now here's Etienne Dupré, bronze medal at the national champs, and just trying to see if he has won the national champs before. And yes, he won the gold in 2021. Snuck in with 1 year where Nick and James went
contesting it, or maybe had misses on those particular occasions. So here he is opening up at 460. Both Charlie Cameron and Ruben Vogel have a miss each at 460. And here's Etienne's first attempt. And just a last minute abort of that one.
Yeah, so it looked like he had a little bit of problems there just getting in the right positions and takeoff. Here we go into the hammer throw.
Yeah, so this is Damien Anai from Papakura. Don't know too much about Damien, but I do know that at the Solar Power throws event in February, he set his PB with the 6 kg implement, which I assume he'll be throwing today. He's an 18-year-old out of Papakura. His PB is 44.64. Now we go back to Charlie Cameron going up and pulling out of that one. So that will be 2 X's next to his name for 460.
Yeah, it just looked like Charlie just pulled out a little bit there. Just you can see him putting his arms up, talking to his coach, just about being a little bit patient, getting a little bit more swing off that pole. So it looked like he was almost rushing those last phases. And like we talked about before, as you start to attempt PBs, it's so hard to just keep your cool. I think that's the biggest thing as an athlete. You're in a position, you're like, I'm attempting a PB, I've got to keep my cool, I've got to go through all the processes. And I think a lot of the young athletes, it's a learning curve not to throw everything out the window and try to do something different just because it's a PB.
Let the pole do its job of sending you vertical and not trying to muscle it up yourself. All right, so here's Ruben, the 17-year-old, the under-20 champ. He's got a PB of 445, so this would be a 15-centimetre PB if he can nail this. He's got 2 more attempts. Just getting that grip dialed in perfectly. And here he is, second attempt at 460. Up he goes. He had the height, but just hitting it with his torso. He knew that he was pretty close. That will give him a bit of confidence going into that final attempt. And here we are, Anthony Nobilo, first throw in the hammer. Getting it out and cleanly. And that looks like it's gone well beyond 60 metres, which would be pretty impressive. If it is, I'll just look up the results that we've got here in front of us, see if we've got anything coming through.
Perfect. And we're just back to the senior men's pole vault. So we have Etienne there just lining up. This will be a second attempt. The bar is at 460. So we saw him kind of blow through his first attempt, but we've seen him go back, have a chat to his coach. It is pretty common for them to do that, try to figure out which poles they want to use first. So he'll be hoping to get a good clearance here now. Now he's fixed, hopefully, his pole difficulties.
And a promising start by Anthony Nobilo out to 66.15 in the first round.
All right, here he is, Etienne Dupre. Second attempt, and over he goes, sailing over. And like you said, dials in those technical elements and just cruises over it with yards to spare. Looking good. Now we are back to the hammer throw circle. And I believe that was Nadia Kumrich throwing there, who's your under-18 silver medalist from back in 2020.
I think she has multiple throws as well.
All right, final attempt. Has he got it? Oh, I thought it was going to stick. And he was so close. So Charlie Cameron going for a 5-centimetre PB, misses on his third attempt at 460. So unfortunately, he will be out of the competition with a clearance at 440. But good, solid attempt. You can see he's not too displeased with that one. Now to bring you up to speed with the hammer, Anthony Nobilo is already out there throwing bombs. He has done a 66.15 to open things up. And in the women's event, Nadia Kumrich with a 36.95 in her first round. Oh, just losing balance on that occasion. when you're generating that momentum on the back end of the circle, it can be tricky to not let that hammer throw you around. But as we head back to Ruben, who's on his final attempt, he was pretty close in his second attempt. Can he just go slightly better, keep that torso up? Here he is. This will be a big PB if he can get it. 15 centimetres up into the sky. Over he goes. Takes it down with his feet. He will bow out of the competition as well. Finishes up with a clearance at 4:40. So those two men on screen will finish up their day on the pole vault runway. And we will leave it up to Etienne.
Etienne, I think Nick has yet to come in. I think he might come in around the... I think we saw he was going to come around the 4:80. We have Nicole Bradley here on screen. She's had an amazing season. Yeah. She's got some Commonwealth B qualifiers and is really upped the game this year into the 70-metre mark.
Man, she's looking fast as well. That was a good first up throw. I'm just trying to see where it's got out to. So it's
just gone out there.
Yeah, called a foul. So just outside of that 70-metre mark. Now, the fact that it is within frame of the 70-metre mark is an encouraging result. So, of course, after years of battling away in the 60s, this season she's finally cracked that 70-metre mark. Got the silver medal at the national champs with a new PB. And here she is, Julia Ratcliffe, the Tokyo Olympian, former New Zealand record holder. What sort of form has she got? Winding up for the first time in the hammer, and we'll pull out of that one, try and get it under control and give it another shot.
I think that's the first time I've ever seen that happen. I'm sure it happens all the time. It's the first time we've seen that happen. Bit of a restart. Here we go. So this is Julia's, we believe it's her opening competition today, so it'll be good to see what kind of form she is. Awesome to see her back out there today. So quick across that circle.
So quick, and the control to heave that out, and it's just gone beyond 70 metres. But as you can see, the officials have their arms out wide, and that's gone about a metre or two out into the foul zone. So that went beyond 70 metres, but of course it won't count. So her PB is, let me just remind myself. Very far, whatever it is, 73.55. So that was the New Zealand record set at the national champs last year. It's now been beaten by Lauren Bruce at 74.61 as Etienne goes over at 4.80. Yes.
You'll be happy with that. Yes, it looks like it's going to be a really good competition out here tonight. It's awesome to see both Julia and Nicole out there. I think that's one of the things that's really, up the stakes in the women's hammer and why they're all really excelling now, because they've got so much competition domestically, pushing each other in really positive ways.
I mean, with the three of them, now just to get on the podium, you've got to be genuinely world class. It's amazing as we see Jasmine Samoana getting her day underway.
Just over there, over the 40-metre mark there. Yeah, and I think one of the interesting things as well, you've got to think about it like in terms of also men's shot put, right? So we always have been strong on men's shot put, and it's just been something that's just been a fact. And I think we're starting to see that in the hammer, and it's really exciting for some of these younger athletes coming through, knowing that they're stepping into one of the most competitive events in track and field in New Zealand, and that, there's already really great athletes out there who've set pathways for them. I think that's really exciting. Some really great role models as well. A lot of these athletes, the two women out there today, both Julia and Nicole, they have full-time jobs, both of them, go to work every day, train after work and things like that. So, yeah, some really great role models out there.
It's pretty epic, and not too dissimilar to yourself, balancing athlete life and work life. How do you make that work? Do you train morning or evenings? What's your pick?
Yeah, I gym in the morning, and then I work during the day. And actually today I had a cheeky work meeting and I needed to run, so had my camera off, headphones in, running along, listening to the meeting.
I love it.
So every now and then you got to do that, but it's about also working for great organisations that allow a little bit of flexibility. Let me start a bit early and things like that as well.
So here we are with Etienne. The bar is up to 5 metres now. This will be his first attempt, and he will pull back and have another shot at that one.
This must be getting pretty close up towards Etienne's PB. I have a feeling it might be 5 metres or 5:05, somewhere pretty close around there.
5:02.
Oh, 5:02, pretty close.
Good memory. So season's best of 4:80. I think this is Damien and I, who opened up with a 44, I want to say. Just bring up the results.
And we're back
yeah, 44.30 moves up to a 48.43.
Oh, so great improvement there.
That's a PB. All right, Etienne.
Still his first attempt at 5 metres, PB of 5:02. He looks very disappointed.
It was like, can't we just have the bar a bit lower?
Yeah, it was kind of one of those things as well where you almost saw it in his face as he was going up.
Yeah.
It's quite easy to see when you're an athlete, you can see it in someone's face when you know that they've had this thought of, oh, I haven't fully committed, and he'll be having a chat to James there about, what do I need to do here? How am I going to change? Oh, sorry, he's trained by Jeremy. But it was just that you almost saw that hesitation from, and it is quite an interesting height because his PB is at 5:02, so he's up there at his PB height, but not quite. So, being very important height for him to get.
All right, Nick Southgate opening up his campaign, 5 metres. He's your national champ from this year. Good speed on the runway, charging up, and you can see there just that expression on his face. Something wasn't quite right. Has a little look at his hand, maybe a little grip situation.
Yeah, Nick's done amazingly well to come back from some really big injuries, been suffering. We haven't seen him for a couple of years, really. Like, we saw him this year, but before that, just suffering a lot from little Achilles niggles. I think we haven't seen him really since 2018 from the Com Games, so awesome to see him back out there.
It's amazing that he's 7-time national champ as well. Incredible. All right, here's Nadia Kumaric. So let me bring up where we're at with the women's hammer throw. So Nadia has already thrown 36.95. This will be her second throw.
Oh, looks like it.
Yeah, looks like a good improvement, out beyond 40.
Red flag there.
So I think we might have just had a foot stepping out the front, which is a shame for Nadia.
All right, here's Etienne's second attempt at pole vault. The bar is at 5 metres.
And once again, just putting the brakes on that runway.
You can see him just, as an athlete having jumped before, there is that frustration of this point where you're like, what am I doing? When you start to pull out type thing. So he just needs to take a step away from the runway, like take a breath, and that same thing you see, he's grabbing a drink there, but just, you've got to keep your cool in this situation. You can always pull it back. As an athlete, you can always pull it back. You've just got to get yourself in the right mindset to be like, okay, I just need to go through the motions. I need to actually commit and kind of believe in what I'm doing. So make sure I'm ticking those boxes along the runway. So you can see him making sure his hands are in the right place, is make sure he's running consistently, hitting those marks of the shoes that we're seeing on the runway as well.
And will he be on a ticking clock here?
I believe so, but I think he's got there's only 2 of them left, so he'll have a fair amount of time, I assume.
So here he goes. Attempt number 2. And again, just pulling out of that one.
He doesn't look like he's quite getting the swing that he wants off the pole there.
All right, Nicole Bradley, silver medalist from the national champs, heaving it out. Will it stay in this time? It does stay in straight down the middle, and that is looking like it's very close to that 70-metre mark. So that will be a good marker to get on the board. And that will surely put her into first place, with Julia Ratcliffe also fouling in the first round.
It's a great throw by Nicole. She's been very consistent this year, and I was just talking to my coach about that, about one of the biggest things as an athlete is to try get to that next level, but be consistently within that level. And I think Nicole's really done well to do that this year.
All right, Nick Southgate, over he goes. Look at that. Once all the pieces of the puzzle come together, it looks so smooth. And Nick sending himself into the sky, 5 metres into the air, over the bar. Clean as you like.
It's almost like pole vaulters use the first run up as a practice, right? That's what we're consistently seeing. It's what really counts is getting over that number 2.
So personal best is sitting at 5:47. Now, it looked like he had a good foot or so spare above the bar on that occasion. All right, Julia Ratcliffe, she threw the hammer out beyond the 70-metre mark, but it was just fouled out.
So second attempt.
And gets it out cleanly. Will it stay in? It does, and it's well over the 70-metre mark. So Nicole Bradley threw a 67.39 to put herself in the lead with that second round throw, but this is going to change the circumstances. This is well beyond 70 metres. Now, her personal best is, what is it, 73? 73.55. I'm going to say 71 high, 72.
Because we've got
71 high.
We've got a perfect angle here to have bets on how far it's gone.
I'm guessing it's a 71 something or other, which would be a very solid season opener. Hamish Meacham, Athletics New Zealand Community Manager, keeping a close eye on proceedings. And of course today we've got no crowds in. We've got a very well run event by Paul Hamblin and Laura Nagel, local organisers, just doing a great job putting this thing together. And Nick, after Etienne, after aborting 2 run-ups in his previous attempts, this time put the brakes on a little bit late, runs through, and that will be the end of his day. So it goes clear at 480, but a miss at 5 metres, unfortunately, which puts it back into the hands of Nick Southgate.
Just quickly going back to Julia's first or second throw, she did throw 70.71, so that does put her into first place on her second throw. Jasmine
Samoa just clipping the net on the way out. It does stay in, but it will be a foul.
Yeah, so that goes to show that, Julia's in really, really great shape. Coming out here, taking the time after Tokyo to really recover, build back up, and come out and open at, 70.71 shows that she's here for business. That's
epic, and also shows that I'm probably a bit optimistic calling these calling these distances. So when I say a number, probably minus a couple of metres off it. But we like to live in hope. So Nick Southgate is the only one left in this pole vault competition, as far as we know. James is not taking part.
Yeah, we did see him sideline coaching as well. So he does coach a couple of the development pole vaulters. So he's assuming the coach role today.
So it looks like there is no Liam Nachok-Wolf, who was on the start list, but will not be throwing the hammer today. So we've got Damien and I, who we believe threw a PB. It does depend what implement he's throwing with, but I believe he's throwing the 6 kg implement, which would mean that his 48-metre throw from that second round would be a personal best, so 48.43. So another of our youngsters coming up through the ranks, just 17 years of age, out of Papakura.
Yeah, we're really seeing a big pool of athletes in this hammer throw now, aren't we? We're seeing some development athletes. We're seeing obviously our top level athletes as well. We've seen a few people like Anthony who've been around for a while, throwing really consistently well.
Yeah, it's hard to believe Anthony's only 22 years of age. He's already got 4 senior men's national titles. And look at him. Speed, power, releases it. It's out beyond 60 metres. That's a good throw again. So he's already done a 66.15, a 65.12.
And a red flag.
And a red flag. But to the Hayden Sherman measuring device, I would say that was about a 63, 64. But it won't count. Okay, we're back to the pole vault here. The men's pole vault competition is now at the very pointy end. And what will we have on the bar? Is it 5:20?
Yep,
there we go.
5:20.
5:20. Here at the Daikin Night of Fives, where we're opening up with the field events. It's not just all about the 5K events. They will come later tonight with our second session starting at 7:55. So be sure to set your alarm clocks for that. We will take a short break before that for around about an hour. But before then, we've got loads of field action. We've got track action in the form of the 100-metre sprints and some 800s. Here he is, Nick Southgate, 5:20, reigning national champ.
There we go. Just doesn't quite get under there, so that was his first attempt at 5:20. But like we said, we might come back to him in a second attempt, and he might make it by a mile.
All right, we're back into the women's field for the hammer throw.
Cool, that was just Nadia there, and she's throwing 41.
34.
34.
So that's a good improvement from her first round of 36.95. So moving up in lots of 5 metres at the moment. And here is Jamane Saimoa, one of our team from Papakura. So she's got a best from that second round of 39.14, just losing her balance at the end of that one. So we'll keep to that 39.14.
Right, I've got my glasses back on, so now I can help
nice.
you make some really poor judgments on how far the hammer's going.
So, do you wear contacts when you run?
I'm sorry, I was just really distracted by Julia dancing over there. I don't know if you caught that.
No, I missed that one.
So I actually always run in. I always run in glasses. So I run. I don't know if you've seen me running in the old speed dealers. Yeah. So. Combination of one, obviously the sunset's obviously quite a big problem, but I don't know if you've ever run in sports glasses, especially the Oakleys. The contrast between the track and the hurdle is insanely clear. It was a bit of a game changer. Yeah. I was introduced to wearing them actually by Hamish Kerr.
Really? Yeah. All right, here she is, Nicole Bradley, spinning away through the circle. Does it stay in? It does, and it is out into the sort of mid to high 60s. So she's in second place with that 67.39. I want to say it's probably just a little bit shy of that. Right, so the contrast, being able to just spot the hurdles really, really clearly.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, it was one of those things that Hamish introduced me to, because in high jump they've got a bar to mat to track contrast. And a lot of the time, especially in places that have blue tracks, you've got white hurdles, blue track, white grandstand, and it's very glary. And then, it's very hard to explain, but it's definitely was a big game changer for me. And you'd probably very rarely see me run without glasses now. And also I need glasses. So. Yeah.
It totally makes sense. All right, Nick Southgate, second attempt at 5:20. Here he goes. Up and not quite over, just getting the height it looked like, but just not navigating the bar at the top.
It looks a little bit sore.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you get to Nick's age. Men are the same age, so I can say that. But I've seen that look before when you're getting off the mat, kind of tiptoeing, like, the Achilles, the knees.
Yeah. I can appreciate as someone who's a couple of decades on. All right, Julia Ratcliffe. Here she is. She's out into the 70s already today with that 70.71. Here it is her third attempt. Oh, lost control of that one. Clips the net, and she will foul that one out.
It was quite interesting in that one. She was moving so quick, but she's such an experienced thrower. You could almost tell by the look on her face. She knew at what point she had made a mistake and couldn't come back from it as well. So she just let it go, stepped out. And that's the quite a big difference between quite a lot of the more experienced athletes and some of the younger ones. You can see the more experienced athletes, they know when it's good before they've even let it go. They know that they've been through the right motions. She knows that, she's at the right angles. She knows that she's moving quick enough and all those things are happening. So, yeah, it's always quite interesting to watch athletes at that level. You just look at their facial expressions and they know when it's going to be good.
Yeah. Now, Nick Southgate just taking a bit of time to think through what's going on with that bar, what's going on with the pole.
This is quite a hard...
This is at 5:20.
Yeah, and this is quite a hard point for an athlete when you're the only one left in and you've got about 5 minutes and you're just hanging around almost. You're trying to make sure you recover, but the time goes so slow.
Oh, that looked like a good throw out towards 50 metres.
The 45.5 metre mark.
Yes. Now, Jasmine Samoa has a 39.80. Her sister Jemane has a 39.14. So the twins very, very close at the moment. But I want to say that's going to take her into the 40s. Puts the jacket back on. You don't really need the jacket, but you'll be keeping nice and toasty.
Yeah, some athletes, it just becomes a ritual thing, right? A habit thing to be like, cool, I'm finished my throw now. Now I can, put that behind me. I can focus on doing the next thing. For some athletes, that's just the purpose of doing certain things, right? It becomes like a mental thing about turning on, turning off, turning on, turning off.
And how important is it for a field athlete to stay warm between rounds? Because obviously here you've got the men and the women competing, so it's reasonable break between throws.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where sometimes you see, I always think high jump is a good example, and it's just like 45 degrees and they've got thermal blankets, beanies, and they're wrapping up and you're thinking, what are they doing?
Put the track pants back on.
Exactly, but again, it's not necessarily the fact that they're cold, it's more the fact of the mental process for them to work through that, to be like, okay, I've cleared that, or now I'm moving on to the next one. That might have not been a great jump, but that's fine, I've cleared it. Or, it's just going through those processes for a lot of the athletes. It's not necessarily that they're feeling cold.
Yeah. Yep, sometimes a little bit of ritual can get that mindset into the right place where it needs to be. As we see Nick, he's no stranger to getting his mind in the right place. He's done it many times before. 7-time national champ. And this time he needs a bit of assistance from the
other lads.
Yeah, the other lads. I was going to say crowd, but it really is officials and other competitors and a couple of coaches. So Nick Southgate, reigning champ in the senior men's pole vault. Final attempt at 5:20. Yes, he's over, has the height, has the control, puts all those pieces together, gives the crowd, the competitors a little thank you clap, and keeps alive in this competition. We'll wait and see if he stays up, and there he goes, really getting all that power out of the pole, and great clearance. Gets out a bit of a hoot, and so he should. That's wonderful. And we talked about just calming himself and preparing himself mentally and physically and getting all the gear sorted, and it all came to fruition.
Yep, and the bar we're moving up to 5:35. So again, this will be getting up towards a PB for Nick. We did say his PB was 40.
Yeah, 5:47.
5:47.
Yeah.
But keep in mind that he is coming back from an injury. So there are those milestones for a lot of athletes that come back from injury, is to just hit a consistent point, right? So it's hit a point where you're back towards looking at where your PB is. You're back to competing at an international level. And for Nick to start clearing these heights, that's where he'll be looking that, he's getting competitive to get back over in Australia. And a lot of it's about not just putting the technical elements together, but really putting the confidence together. Because I think a lot of athletes, they do take a big knock if they've had a lot of time off from injury and slowly building back up.
Oh, clanging that one into the woodwork. Damien and I, but he'll have 2 more throws to come after that one. So, yeah, I was just looking through the results from Nationals. So, Nick Southgate and James Stein both cleared 5:20, and then on countback, it was Nick's gold medal in the end. And, yeah, like you say, he'll take a lot of confidence from that clearance, and the bar's going to move up to 5:35, and that would give him a world of confidence to be within cooey of his PB. All right, here's Anthony Novolo, reigning national champ in the senior men's hammer. He's been looking very good so far today. He's thrown 66-1-5, 65-1-2, and then a foul, but that one was out to the mid-60s as well. Here he goes, winding up, delivers. That one is going out into the mid-60s again. Probably won't challenge his best at that opening throw of 66-1-5. But he's right up close to his personal best, which he set at Nationals of 66-71. As the sun comes out here at the AUT Millennium, really is perfect athletics, summer athletics conditions. Driving up this morning, I was like pouring rain, windy conditions up the North Island, and I really was not expecting it to be like this.
Yeah,
stunning.
It's definitely really nice conditions here. Low winds. That's the most impressive thing, and I think that's a thing for not just our sprinters look for. I know sprinters love a good low wind or a perfect tailwind. 2.0 tailwind's perfect day for sprinter. But
put the fans on.
Yeah, just get the fans out there. But even for our long distance runners, right? That's why a lot of times they run so late at night. So that's something that I learned that maybe some people at home don't realise, that for your longer distance, sometimes they're running at 10 o'clock at night, but it is because there tends to be long winds.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, the times we've got for the senior men, so the Blinko Cup, presented by Kinetics Physiotherapy, that will run at 9:45. The women's elite race will be at 9:20. So, definitely making the most of light winds in the evening. And at the other end of the spectrum, marathons are run very early. I remember starting the Auckland Marathon here in darkness at 6 a.m. So, yeah, distance runners are a strange breed. They either like it very late or very early in the morning.
Yeah, it's actually something that they do quite a lot in Australia as well. A lot of their events start at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And when I was over there recently, the conditions were great. 8 o'clock, I was running equivalent to 10 o'clock at night in New Zealand, and the conditions were great. It's so warm there, obviously, but there is low wind. So you actually do see the benefit of holding those events really late at night, as opposed to, obviously, in New Zealand, we tend to hold them midday.
Yeah.
When it's the winds are at their highest.
Benefit, of course, going midday. Typically, you make the most of some, hopefully, summery, warm conditions. But the other element of this is we see Nick lining up for 5:35. The other element that would be good to get your thoughts on is how you stay calm during the day when you're not racing till 9:45 at night. Or, I remember hearing Usain Bolt eating chicken nuggets and just playing computer games. We'll come back to this shortly as Nick has his first attempt at 5:35. Probably won't make his career highlights reel, that one, but I did like the little spin.
It looks like he's suffering maybe a little bit of injury somewhere in the body generally. He looked a little bit uncomfortable there. That was actually interesting enough. The whole competing really late at night is something that was really difficult in Australia, because especially this time I was travelling by myself, you have so much time on your hands. You're sitting in hotel rooms, but again, it's finding things to do. For me, that's one of the benefits of having a day job. You've got to do meetings, you've got to do work during the day. So
something else to think about.
Yeah.
All right, so the Samoa twins are improving every round. So Jasmine Samoa started off with a 39.80 and then a 45.68 in round 3. I think she's pretty close to that in round 4. Nadia Kumaric, incidentally, did a 43.45, so that's her best today. And Jamane Samoa has a 39.14, so it's just come through 45.22 for Jasmine, so that won't challenge her 45.68 from round 3. But it remains with our 2 leaders, Julia Ratcliffe with that 70.71 and Nicole Bradley in second place with that 67.39. Can she get back up into the 70 metres? I think she can. She's looking pretty confident. She's in the form of her life this season. New lease on life.
Yeah, definitely. We are in round 4, so they do get six throws as well. So this will be a important throw here for Nicole.
Oh, stays in the circle. Very important. And that is very close to 70 metres. That will surely improve on her 67.39. So you can see there, the grass is actually quite wet. I went to walk across the field earlier in the day and decided to walk on the track instead because it's actually really got a good old drenching. So the officials are doing a great job, not only with the measuring but also the gardening.
Got the gardening tools out there.
You can see having to do a fair amount of digging. Might need extra soil to bring in.
So this is Nicole's 4th throw. So she had a foul on her first one, 67.39 for a second throw, 65.01 for a third, and she's just come through for a 4th throw with 67.85. So that will be, yes, that's her best throw.
That's her best.
So she's improved. She's sitting in second place, just behind Julia Ratcliffe, who we will see take the circle next. So Julia's had an amazing throw, 2 fouls. So her first and third were a foul, but her first throw was 70.71. So awesome season opener for Julia. Shows she's in some really good form here.
So she pulled out on her previous throw. So let's see if she can control this one across the circle. That wonderful speed she generates. Here she goes. Releases, stays in control, sends it out beyond 70 metres. Just like clockwork. Another good, solid throw to get in the bag. And here is Nick. This will be his second attempt at 5.35. No, he will put the brakes on and have another attempt at that one. Now, I wonder if that's just that Achilles sending him some messages that maybe he needs to treat it a little kinder. You obviously need a little bit more speed, a little bit more power coming in as soon as you put the height up on the bar. So with that power and speed comes a little bit more stress on the Achilles.
We go, and Julia's 4th throws come through at 70.05. So her second throw is still the leading throw at 70.71, but her consistency is, like you said, it's just like clockwork.
Yeah.
In, out, done.
And you saw that the way she competed in Tokyo, she just looked calm and collected, like she was just at home throwing the hammer.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing.
In the zone.
Yeah, and that's the thing about really great athletes as well, is that their ability to just go in, do their thing, and like you said, just like clockwork. You see her go through her processes. Doesn't matter how big or small the comp is, she goes through the same process. We see her closing her eyes, taking breaths, going through the visualization before she throws.
It's like Tom Walsh heading to a World Champs, Olympic Games. It's just like, is he going to medal? Of course he's going to medal. It's just, he seems to be able to, and Tokyo was a great example. He was under massive stress, right on the edge of being ejected from the competition, and stayed in it, collected another world medal, and last weekend, again, picking up a bronze at the World Indoors. Yeah, it's just so wonderful that we've got these athletes to look to and also rub shoulders with, that these youngsters are competing next to Olympians and multiple national champs, and they can pick their brains like, hey, Julia, how do you control those nerves? How do you get things under control? It's really awesome. Okay, here's Anthony Nobilo. This is round 5. He's got a best today of 66.15. Here he is. Look at that speed. And that is out into the mid-60s, so the 7.26 kg hammer once again finds its way out beyond the 60-metre mark, destroys the turf here at the AUT Millennium.
Yeah, so one of the things that I'm kind of noticing the difference between a few of our throwers as well, we've almost got our throwers that are very strong, right? We're seeing them come through, putting a lot of, you can see almost a lot of grunt going into it. And you get your throwers like Julia, who, don't get me wrong, she's extremely strong, but you can see how quick she is across the circle. You can see that, you know, when she whips under the hammer and stuff. So it's quite interesting that we're seeing quite a big contrast in athletes in this, I guess, in this competition. Having the men and the women as well goes to, it gives you a good perspective of how quick Julia is across and how technically sound she is in the way that she throws, I think, as well. Because you can compare her to, you know, how the men are going and stuff as well. So it's pretty exciting. And I think it's one of those things for all the athletes when you put them all in the same competition. Is like you said, it actually lifts everybody. And it's an awesome opportunity, especially for our young athletes, to get out there and compete with a Olympian.
Joe Mane Samoa with a 45.68 best. That one won't challenge that. Now, we do have to talk about it. So your background before 4 hurdles was in heptathlon, so you've got a bit of experience in the throws and the shot put. How do you develop that rotational speed? Because I think everyone gets speed along a linear plane when you're sprinting, but, you know, when you're spinning and trying to, it's such a foreign motion to actually increase your speed rotationally. Are there any exercises that you'd be doing in the gym, or is it just practicing the movement?
Yeah, it was one of those interesting things that I was never a good thrower. I just want to put that out there. I was not a good thrower. I did not rotate. And I did see that my name came up and it said I was expert commentator while the hammer was on. I was like, oh, great.
Sorry for throwing you under the bus there, Portia.
No, but it's fine. But it's actually, I've talked about this with Julia quite a few times, just trying to get to understand things a little bit. And she said there's so many tricky things, especially with hammer, and the idea about your centre of gravity needs to be actually outside your normal plane of axis, and that's what gets them to spin quicker and quicker and quicker. And again, it's about how quick they're coming under, and just the whole idea of that that you're leaning, I want to say away, it's probably not the right way to explain it, but you think about your hammer, it's actually pulling them and they're leaning back. All those types of things. Again, it's not super technical from the way that I'm explaining it, but there is a lot more that goes into it. A lot of it comes from how strong athletes are through the hips as well, and I know that comes from, you know, you look at our really good shot putters and stuff, and they have got the strongest legs, they have got really strong hips, they are really, really quick. One of my favourite things to say, it might not be true, but I always say that Tom Walsh could probably beat anyone over 10 metres because he is so powerful and so strong.
All right, final attempt for Nick at 5:35. It was a good solid attempt, let out a bit of a yelp. Now, I hope that wasn't his Achilles complaining. I hope it was just a bit of frustration because it was a good attempt, but the feet just clipping it on the way up. As we go back to Jasmine Samoa. So that's the end of the men's pole vault competition. One thing I would like to organise with our throwers, and I don't know when we'll ever factor this in, but maybe we can even include the sprinters and the distance runners just for kicks. But a powerlifting competition. Can we just... The sporting community needs to see the Jacko Tom powerlifting comp head to head.
I think one of the things that people don't realise about throwers, like if you don't do track and field, if you don't do athletics, people assume that they're very strong. But what they don't understand is that not only are these throwers strong, but they are extremely fast. If you just look at any of the Instagram videos that Jacko puts up in his gym, look how fast he is just pumping out, bench press. All
right, back to Nicole Bradley. This is throw number 5.
Just a foul there out past the 60-metre mark. Yeah, and talking about being in the gym and very powerful, I see Nicole all the time after work and working really, really hard in the gym. And it's one of those interesting things is that a lot of these athletes, I know for her, she's taken some time to really focus on getting a little bit quicker and stronger in the gym. And now she's transferring that power into her throws, and it's obviously really showing.
All right, there's the roundup of the men's pole vault. Finishing up, Nick takes the win with that 520 clearance. Etienne Duprea will have to settle for that 480. Had a reasonably close attempt at 5 metres. And then Charlie Cameron and Ruben Vogel both square out things in third place. So that will round up things in the pole vault and potentially round up the domestic season for those boys. Here we go. Julia Ratcliffe. What can she do? She's been over that 70-metre mark twice. She's fouled twice. This is round 5. There she goes. Didn't like that one at all. And
again, there we see just a really experienced athlete. Just knew before she'd even released the hammer that it wasn't right. She wasn't in the right position. She wasn't quite gaining the momentum. She felt maybe a little bit off balance. And goes to show the really experienced athlete, they know when they're not quite in the right positions. They know when it's on, they know when it's off. Yeah. And her face definitely said it all.
All right, so that is round 5 done and dusted in the hammer throw. Now we cast our attention towards the 100 metres, and we have 2 heats, I believe, in the women's 100 metres. We'll go through those start lists shortly, but what a year of 100-metre running it's been, with just PBs being thrown out left, right and centre. I feel like mid-11 has become the new, sub-12, and with so many girls just getting faster and faster this season. And Portia, you've jumped into the odd 100-metre race yourself?
Yeah, I've been doing hundreds really early season on. I think I told you at the last competition I ran 100 that I was there to really push Zoe.
Yeah. Someone's got to, right?
Yeah.
As Damien and I finishes up his day, getting it out beyond 40 metres. Let me see where he's been. So 48.43 is his best, which we believe is a personal best. As we get to the sleep drops, women's 100 metres in lane 3, it will be Brianna Irving. Lane 4, Simone Taffanai. Lane 5, Talia Van Ruin. Lane 6, Nadia Evans. Lane 7, Selena Gee. And lane 8, Anna Tucker.
Yeah, so definitely be watching lane 5, Talia. Extremely talented young sprinter. I think she ran very low 11s.
Yeah, 11.50 with a strong tailwind, so a 3.1 tailwind, but then 11.76 to win a heat at Nationals.
Yeah, definitely. I think she's only 16.
Yes, so born in 2006, if you want to believe it. So 15 or 16, running really, really well.
Yeah, and they're in lane 2 where Brianna, she's a surf sprinter as well. So just getting in really good shape. She'll be trying to head for the World Surf Champs. So it's actually pretty exciting when you see athletes like her jump in, and it's really great to see how quick they are in track. And a lot of people start off in surf or do both. I think Zoe started doing surf originally and then she came to track. So, yeah, there's definitely pathways for the old surfies to join track.
Very cool. So we've got Irving in lane 1 from Gisborne. Taffanai from North Harbour Bays on her home turf. Van Ruin from North Harbour. Nadia Evans from North Harbour. Selena Gee, and then closest to your camera in the white, Anna Tucker. This is heat 1 of 2 in the women's 100 metres, and we are away cleanly. Now, getting a good start is in the middle. Nadia Evans looking good, but it looks like Talia is going to pull away with Simone Taffanai, who's been having not the best season of her life, finishing off nice and strongly. Looks like she may have come through for second. Anthony Nobilo finishing up his day in the hammer throw. That is out beyond 60 metres once more. He opened up with that 66.15. Will that improve?
He's had an extremely consistent series here this evening.
And we're just getting through results. Talia taking out that 100 metres in 12.02. So Talia looking nice and in control. Now does Nadia just sneak up for second? It's very close. So Simon just hanging on with a 12.17. Nadia 12.21. And I'm trying to see if we're going to get a wind reading. I imagine it's very, very light. It's hard to believe if we're anything beyond 2 meters per second.
Yeah, it would be. It's pretty hard to guess what the wind is while we're sitting up here in the building. By the looks of the flags, we can see a little bit of a breeze picking up there.
There's a little bit of breeze, maybe tailwind, would you say?
Potentially, but yeah, but that's a really great run for the girls. Really consistent, actually a very tight race as well. So, yeah, it'd be good to get that wind reading, hopefully. Now,
we imagine it'll be top 3 go through in the next 2 fastest. So we'll keep an eye on those times. 12.28 and 13.05 might be the times to beat. As I think that was Jasmine Samoa just finishing up.
And this is our second heat. The women's finals, the women's sleep drops final will be at 7 p.m. tonight. So a couple hours for the girls to rest up, and it's quite normal for the 100 metres to kind of have that quick turnaround.
So here's your start list. Sophie Adams will run on the inside in lane 3. Livy Wilson will run in lane 4. Meryl Venita will run in lane 5. Lane 6, Isabel Neal, usually a one-lapper, but stepping down to the 100 metres. And Maya Bentley Butts from North Harbour Bays will run in lane 7. So Isabel Neal medalled in both the 400 and the 200 this year, picking up the bronze in the 200. She's got a best in the 100 of 12.28. Surely she can improve on that.
Yeah, I think this might be her first 100 of the season. So it's always fun for a 200, 400 metre runners to just do a straight sprint.
Yeah. So it looks like Livy is a no-show in this one and no Maya. So just the 3 athletes will start. And they are away cleanly. Getting a good start was Marielle and Isabel just on the outside of her. Now, will that 400 metre strength come into it over the last few metres? It does, just pulling away. So Isabel Neal will take the win. Marielle Venita looking nice and strong as well. So she's the under 20 100 metre champ from just a couple of weeks ago with a PB of 11.92, so sneaking under that magic 12-second barrier. I can confirm I have not broken that 12-second barrier. Don't know if I've broken the 13-second barrier, to be honest. All right, so that nice compact style of Marielle, just trying to keep tabs with that long stride of Isabel Neal. Pulling away, and is it a PB? Let's have a little look. Results coming through soon.
So our heat 1 was, our first 3 were 12.02, 12.17, 12.21, then it was 12.28. So looking to get up around those times to make that final, which will be at 7 o'clock tonight. All right, we must be heading to the last round here of the hammer throw.
Yeah, that was Jasmine Samoa. So she will finish up the competition in 3rd place with a 45.68. It got pretty close between her and Nadia Kumaric. Nadia throwing a 45.49. I believe they are both using the same implement. The 3 kg. Now, definitely using the 4 kg will be this woman on screen, Nicole Bradley. She's got a 67.85. She's been getting close to 70 metres. She was on PB form just a few weeks ago at the National Champs. Here she is, her final throw at the AUT Millennium Night of Fives, and gets it out beyond 60 metres. That won't challenge her best tonight of 67.85. But there she is, your silver medalist from the National Champs, showing she's still in good form.
Yeah, and I think Nicole will be most likely heading across to the Australian Championships, which is next weekend. So the good thing to see is that Nicole's in really great shape. Like I said, she has already got herself a B qualifier there for the Com Games. She's been consistently out towards that 70-metre mark, and I think goes to show tonight, even we saw her out there 67 a couple times as well. So yeah, she's really improved a lot this year. Like you said, just kind of broke that barrier this year, didn't she?
Epic. Yeah, and the scene that I would love to see at the Com Games is our 3 Kiwi hammer throwers come all out together and just walk onto the international stage. We are here.
Exactly, and one of the things that'd be really exciting to see something like that is, I don't know if we've ever seen three throwers in one event in New Zealand. I know we must have had them in the distance runnings, but yeah.
All right, here's Julia Ratcliffe. Final throw in the hammer. Round 6. Oh, can she hang on to it? Yep, she surely can.
So Julia's had a further throw today of 70.71. That was in her second round. She's had a couple fouls and a 70.05 in her fourth round. So consistently out there over the 70-metre mark. And we did say this is probably her first competition of the season.
Here she is, gets it away cleanly. She felt a bit better about that, and it's gone well beyond 70 metres. That's going to be the best of the night for sure. That 70.71 from round 2. And as we've seen before, our judgment around distances is not the most accurate. I'm speaking on my behalf anyway, but surely that's beyond 70.71.
Yeah, I think that looks like it's around the 72.
So a reminder that her best is that 73.5 odd metres, 73.55.
She has a nervous wait there. That's the thing about a field event. You've just got to wait for them to measure it for you. Just waiting.
Oh, she's happy with that. Gives it the thumbs up.
I saw a 72.33.
Can we replay that little moment? And Anthony Novelo goes in for the fist pump. Left hanging.
Yeah, so 72.33
yes.
there for Julia. So that improves on her second round throw of 70.71. So that's awesome. But Julia, that means she's right up there in kind of PB shape. So this is her opening. There we go.
Too distracted. Too stoked with that 72.33. So to give you an idea, a couple of weeks ago at the National Champs, Lauren Bruce threw 73.34, which was very epic. But shows that they're right within cooey of each other. And I cannot wait to see those 3 on the international stage at some point.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to find out as well, from Julia, what has she been doing over this time? What are those things that, she's really found have helped her to come out so strong this season? And also, how does it feel to be in the position? It's always hard when you're an athlete and the season started and you're still in your winter training, building up, knowing that obviously you've already qualified for things. But it's always a big thing for an athlete to watch all your mates out there competing while you're slaving away in the gym.
Absolutely. All right, here's a wrap-up of the women's hammer. Julia Ratcliffe takes it out with that 72.33 bomb that she dropped in round 6. Nicole Bradley settles for that fourth round throw of 67.85, close to her best. Jasmine Saimoa, who we believe was throwing the under-20s implement to 45.68. Nadia Kumrich not too far behind that 45.49. And Jemane Saimoa with that 39.14. So we will have the senior men's 100 metres still to come.
Yeah, so we have the Allbrands men's 100 metres coming up. There's 2 heats there. 6 o'clock we've got the NZ Funds women's pole vault. And at 6:40 we've got the AUT women's para 100 final. 6:45 the AUT men's para 100 metre final. And then 6:50 we have the AUT women's masters final, followed by the men's masters final. So we have a few finals coming up there in the 6 o'clock block. And yeah, just a whole lot of hundreds coming up. So the weather here at AET Millennium is looking pretty great. As you can see by those flags out there, there's very little wind. It's nice and humid. I mean, we've got the air conditioning going on up here.
It's nice in here. Very, very good. I'm glad to be indoors.
Yeah,
Often we're out in a tent somewhere and there's wind blowing our notes all around.
Yeah, it's always nice to be up here. We've seen some really good competition going on today already. We just saw Julia Radcliffe there winning the women's hammer throw with a 72. What was it again? 72.
My brain is like a sieve usually with these numbers.
72-33. Yeah, 72-33, which is an awesome throw by Julia. I believe that would have been, we think it's her season opener, so shows she's in great form. We saw Nick Southgate in the men's pole vault with a attempt at 5.35, but clearing the 5.20, which again, coming back from injury, is a really good solid height for Nick. It's the same height he cleared at the National Championship, so that's all go. And the women's 100-metre heats, we saw Talia win the 100 in 12.02, and did we ever get the results from the second heat?
I was just looking up those. We haven't had the results of the second heat come through yet, so I will try and keep an eye on those as they come through. But definitely Talia taking it out the first heat, and then Simone Tawhanai not too far behind in second, and Nadia Evans in third. So there's the lineup. Now, Portia, it would be great to hear about your plans. You've just come back from Aussie. Your plans for the rest of the season. You've set a... Oh, there we go. Just got some results come through. No, I think they are the seed times, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No results quite yet. So your plans for the rest of the year? Are you going to chase points? Do you need to chase points? What's happening with the very confusing algorithm for getting points for world champs?
I know, it's confusing, right? So if you go on to World Athletics and look at the Road to Rio, that's where you see where you're ranked. So you've got a 12-month time period where you accumulate points and or automatic qualifiers to get into the World Championships. But the National Championships are in 55.44 and the automatic is 55.40.
Gosh.
But I was painfully close. But now I've completed 5 races. So one of the reasons I actually had to head to Australia this year, there was a little bit of I want to see if I can get some competition, but I hadn't actually completed 5 races within the time frame. I had this little emergency panic where I was like, I'm not going to get 5 races. Our domestic season's finished. So I headed over to Australia to compete in Sydney Classic and the Melbourne Classic. And I consistently...
And 4 points?
Yeah, 4 points, and they were consistently within the 55.5 range as well. So I think I'm ranked probably number 1 in the roll downs for the World Championships, which I'm really, really happy about. I'd love an automatic, and I'm so close that it's painful. But the biggest thing for me is, like I've said for a lot of these athletes, I think it's all about trying to get that consistency. Getting to that next level is one thing, but consistently being within that level goes to show that when you step up to those international competitions, you can be competitive. So that's kind of what I've been really focusing on this year, to be like, bring up the level of, bring up my personal level up to the next level, basically this whole season. And that's what I've kind of achieved.
Yeah, I mean, that consistency has been phenomenal, especially with not a hang of a lot of people to run with. As we see the men's 100-metre start list on screen. Now I will try and bring up the some results there. So we've got Mark Lambert running for North Harbour Bays. He'll be in lane 3. Tommy Tapuni in lane 4. He's your running under 20, 100 and 200 champ. Zachary Saunders, who is actually the reigning 100-metre 200 champ, getting the two confused. So those two running side by side, stride for stride, down on their home turf for Tommy Tapuni. Zachary Saunders just pulling away. He'll take the win. Lewis Arthur potentially coming in for third place.
Yeah, you can see both athletes there just kind of chilling out, going through the motions. This is a heat for them as well, so a lot of these athletes will go through the motions, go hard for the first 60 metres, really go through those phases, then just turn off and roll home. And you kind of see Tommy doing that in this race here, just, there we go, turning off, rolling through.
So pretty impressive times for turning off and just rolling through. 10.81 for Zachary Saunders, Tommy Tapuni solid in 10.92, and then Lewis Arthur coming through for that third spot of 11.21.
Here we go, and this is our men's second heat. So we've got a lot of the athletes in the old blue pants speed suit.
Yeah, I like this. It's been a bit of a trend, really. I wonder if Tian Walton's got anything to do with it, sort of just setting the fashion statement that the speed suit's okay. Guys, aerodynamics is a good thing. So here we go. The one to watch will certainly be Jordan Bolland running in lane 4, but we've got Cade Lambert from North Harbour Bays. In lane 5, we've got Joe Box from North Harbour. Ethan Bush will run in lane 6, and lane 7, Bruce Alexander. One of our masters out of Waikato Bay of Plenty. But Jordan Bolland, he just ran an amazing last 90 metres at the National Champs. His first 10 metres is very forgetful. He was stumbling all over the show, and then managed to pull it back for a bronze medal, and then picked up the silver medal in the 200. Had a great weekend.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of those things to remember is that if an athlete's his strongest point of his race, he's so powerful, so quick out of the blocks, and he basically lost that in the 100 metres. So, so he ran an amazing 90 metres, which goes to show that he's really good shape. And it's one of those things now where he'll be looking to put that first and second part of the race, you know, your first 20, 30 metres of his start, which he's really good at, and just put in that last 90 metres that he ran at Nationals. Putting it all together. Got some really quick leg turnover, I think, if you watched his low legs. Yeah,
he's not the tallest man in the field, but he definitely uses those legs to get up to speed very, very fast. And it'll be interesting how he pulls along some of these other athletes in this second heat. Second heat of 2 heats. So a season best for Jordan of 10.76. Personal best back in 2019 of 10.64. And we're away cleanly. And there is that clean, quick start from Jordan. You can see him getting those legs pumping. The other 3 North Harbour Bays athletes trying to track with him, but it's all Jordan Bolland. He will win very comfortably. And I love to see this time as soon as it comes through, because he looked electric.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he already saw it. Do you see him take the little look on the way down? One of the things that was really awesome out there, if you saw Jordan, if you go back to the beginning, you see how quick his start was, right? He was already, he was gone out of the blocks before any of the guys had even thought about moving. There we go. He's just really electric out there. You can see him really driving, going through the phases, and once he's up and going, it's really pulling away there. Goes a little look.
Yeah, the old sideways look across the finish line. Looking really strong, Jordan.
There you go. Jordan was 10.72 there for Jordan.
Ooh. So that it's his season's best. His previous season's best wind legal time was 10.76. So that's getting very close to a personal best, which stands at 10.64 at the moment. You can see that wind's just slightly edging up. We're not getting wind readings through here in the studio, but it looks like it's probably going from left to right on your screen. Maybe a slight tailwind.
Yeah, definitely. We do have up next, we do have the para 100 metre finals, both men's and women's, masters, men's and women's final 100 metres coming up as well. The women's pole vault, we just see them over there. I look out the window, I can see them. Looks like they're warming up. They're for a 6 o'clock start. And in between times,
Yeah, there is a little bit of a gap in the action, just going through our timetable, trying to see what's happening. Men's and women's discus will kick off at 5:45, but we're going to take a quick break and we'll see you back shortly.
Our mission is to assist our clients make better financial decisions through advice and superior investment solutions, whatever their stage of life.
We're a privately owned company. We care, and that showcases in everything that we do. We haven't lost sight of where we've been, but we're also excited about where we're going.
We really understand what New Zealanders want and need for their future investment goals and their retirements.
What we are trying to do is give everybody in New Zealand an opportunity to have the retirement they deserve.
So we've developed an intelligent and accessible investment approach to help clients reach their retirement goals.
We want to help New Zealanders make better financial decisions and ultimately give the clients more control and more flexibility.
Well, these days technology plays a huge role in helping us. I've been an advisor for over 30 years now, and if I think back to the tools that we would have had available to us to use back in the 90s and compare them to what they are today, it's just a huge advancement.
The world of investing has changed a lot in the last 10 or 20 years. Prices have got more expensive in all sorts of shares and equities.
Traditional asset classes on their own are not always going to keep up with the way the world is developing.
The investment world needs to change in order to generate returns and to generate returns that keep on compounding. For those in the market that are not willing to make those changes and think about other asset classes, they will have to be used to lower returns.
More and more Kiwis are demanding more from their investment providers. They want to know that they're invested in companies and business practices that are doing, right by the planet.
For every single company we look at a checklist that looks through factors on decarbonisation, carbon emissions, other social factors and corporate governance factors as well.
We believe that every one of our funds should be socially responsible. Give your clients the knowledge that they are ethically investing no matter where they put their investments.
Well, integrated financial advice, we believe, is a coordinated, disciplined approach and a great way to achieve client outcomes.
Well, listening is an essential part of providing advice to clients. I need to know the big picture for a client first. I want to know what their goals and their objectives are before I can turn to my mind what the actual investments are that are best for them.
And then we go through our tools, our technology, and help them plan along the way.
And we're really developing at a fast pace to be innovative, digital, engage with our clients, but also understanding, the foundations of what made us NZ Funds in the first place.
only. If you guys can hear us clearly, just give us a wave. Oh. Okay, perfect.
discover new. Yeah, they knew straight away. And it's not like, you know,
Our mission is to assist our clients make better financial decisions through advice and superior investment solutions, whatever their stage of life.
We're a privately owned company. We care, and that showcases in everything that we do. We haven't lost sight of where we've been, but we're also excited about where we're going.
We really understand what New Zealanders want and need for their future investment goals and their retirements.
What we are trying to do is give everybody in New Zealand an opportunity to have the retirement they deserve.
So we've developed an intelligent and accessible investment approach to help clients reach their retirement goals.
We want to help New Zealanders make better financial decisions and ultimately give the clients more control and more flexibility.
well, these days technology plays a huge role in helping us. I've been an advisor for over 30 years now, and if I think back to the tools that we would have had available to us to use back in the 90s and compare them to what they are today, it's just a huge advancement.
The world of investing has changed a lot in the last 10 or 20 years. Prices have got more expensive in all sorts of shares and equities.
Traditional asset classes on their own are not always going to keep up with the way the world is developing.
The investment world needs to change in order to generate returns and to generate returns that keep on compounding. For those in the market that are not willing to make those changes and think about other asset classes, they will have to be used to lower returns.
More and more Kiwis are demanding more from their investment providers. They want to know that they're invested in companies and business practices that are doing, right by the planet.
For every single company we look at a checklist that looks through factors on decarbonisation, carbon emissions, other social factors and corporate governance factors as well.
We believe that every one of our funds should be socially responsible. Give your clients the knowledge that they are ethically investing no matter where they put their investments.
Well, integrated financial advice, we believe, is a coordinated, disciplined approach and a great way to achieve client outcomes.
Well, listening is an essential part of providing advice to clients. I need to know the big picture for a client first. I want to know what their goals and their objectives are before I can turn to my mind what the actual investments are that are best for them.
And then we go through our tools, our technology, and help them plan along the way.
And we're really developing at a fast pace to be innovative, digital, engage with our clients, but also understanding, the foundations of what made us NZ Funds in the first place.
Well, kia ora koutou. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Daikin Night of Fives here at the AUT Millennium on the North Shore of Auckland. My name is Hayden Sherman. I'm joined by Portia Bing in studio and Julia Ratcliffe, fresh off her first time back in the throwing circle. So we thought it would be a good chance, a little lull in the action before we kick off with the women's discus, to hear about how you've been, what you've been up to for these past few months since your really top performance, ninth place at the Tokyo Olympics. And yeah, so what have you been doing these past few months? Have you been enjoying a summer?
Yeah, kia ora korua. Yes, I have been enjoying a summer. No, I've been training hard since the start of the year, but definitely was really conscious to take a decent amount of time off after Tokyo. It was a big 5-year build-up. We came back to MIQ, we came back into a lockdown out of MIQ, and so kind of all that post-Olympic hype we just missed out on, so it was pretty anticlimactic, and so it was definitely just taking that time. We didn't really get a lot of post-games closure, I guess, that you get, and so just taking that time to make sure that I was mentally and physically recovered from the experience, which was awesome, but yeah, definitely took its toll, so took my time coming back to training and just to make sure I was really ready to do it.
Cool. Now, as I come from a distance running background, and when you're sort of structuring a season, you often have, a base phase, and then you start to get into your more specific training around preparing for the actual event that you're working on. Is it the same for you as a thrower? Like, do you have to set aside times in the year where you actually want to build that strength and, put those big rocks in the bucket before you start doing that specific comp prep stuff?
Well, ideally, but these days, I guess, the domestic season, there's so many competitions, then you're encouraged to go to Australia, and then the European season's kicking off, and then you've got a pinnacle event, and then you don't have much time until it all starts again. And so, over the last couple of years, that's something I've been really conscious of, is that, I've spent so many years doing this cycle. I did 4 years in the States at university, competing pretty hectically, and absolutely loved it, but getting a bit older, feeling the strain a bit more. And so just making sure that I've got balance in my life to do that. So these days, I guess I'd throw all year round anyway. But I guess trying to do a bit more strength work is something that you do out of comp season, and then trying to get more into the speed side of things towards the end of the season. So just taking that time to make sure I'm doing that, and I think that's reflected in not doing any competitions after this one. This is my opener and closer of the season.
One and done.
Yeah, exactly. Just because it's really important for me to have those solid training blocks to get that training in.
Totally. Now, Portia and I were debating about how you get fast spinning in circles, because it makes sense when you're going one direction doing a 100-metre sprint. That's most people can put their head around that, but I often think how Michael Jackson used to do those really fast spins on the spot. how do you generate rotational speed? How does this thing happen, or is it all about physics, getting the body in the right position?
Balance is really important. My competition showed that today. I had 3 or 4 throws that were quite off balance, and so ended up botching them completely and tossing them out not very far. I guess a lot of core is really important for rotation. And a lot of weird exercises in the gym is the answer to that. You go to any commercial gym and you kind of get these really weird stares of, hey, do you know how to use that piece of equipment? And you're like, I do, but I'm not trying to do that right now. Luckily, we've got the high-performance gyms where we're accepted for our spinnies. Lots of just really technical and specific stuff that not many other athletes would do.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we were talking about as well, that obviously it does pop up with my name on the screen, expert commentator, while the hammer was on. So, I know, it's great. But one of the things that I was talking about was just that idea that how you actually spin in hammer. So one of the things we talked about is that there's this weird thing in hammer where you're not spinning around, you're spinning around an axis, not on an axis. I'm doing to kind of explain the technicalities of that a little bit, because that's one of the things that is really unusual when you watch hammer, is that it almost looks like it almost looks like your body's leaning out. So it looks like you're on your heels from someone who doesn't necessarily know anything about hammer at all. It looks like you're constantly falling, right?
Definitely. So for me, I am a right-handed thrower, so that means I turn anti-clockwise. And so my left foot never leaves the ground. So that's my rotation, axis of rotation, I guess. It is definitely, you're spinning around yourself, but also kind of, as Portia said, leaning back quite a lot. And again, that was something I failed to do on a few throws today, is keep that balance, because you're kind of fighting the hammer at all times. And Dad always describes it like a tug of war against the hammer, because it's always trying to pull you over if it's spinning around you, and you've got to resist that force while you're spinning in circles. It's good fun to try and not fail it.
Yeah.
So, as we can see on screen, the women's discus has kicked off. So we've got Tatiana Komoana, bronze medalist, 3 times bronze medalist actually at the national champs in the women's discus. There was a great competition this year, finishing up on the final day at national champs. So, I guess the discus is probably the perfect example. Not as much weight, closer to the body. So it's theoretically you should have a bit more ability to control what the discus is doing, as opposed to the hammer where it's constantly trying to throw you out of the circle.
Yeah, exactly. The discus and same with shot put, you can apply force directly to the implement because you're holding it, whereas the hammer, the main weight of the ball is actually down the end of the wire. So if I move the handle, the hammer might not do the same thing. So it's about kind of connection through that really long radius throughout the whole hammer is really important. And again, that's something that can throw throwers off, is if you're kind of disconnected from the weight and you're trying to drag the hammer out of its orbit or trying to do something forcing it to do something that it doesn't want to do is it's like a temperamental child.
And one of the other things that we actually talked about just briefly before was we're talking about, for me personally, I felt like this year I've just finally hit that level where I'm consistent and I'm like, cool, this is happening, this is where I'm at, and I can do, you know, a certain time any day of the week. Now that kind of happened for you probably last year, once you hit that 70 metre mark. So what was the biggest technical change that you made? So thinking about things like we were talking about, you know, what do hammer throwers do? We know that you're in the gym. You said that you're doing all these unusual rotation things. But there must be, like for me, there was a point in time when I started doing a certain type of training and I was like, oh, light bulb, this has got me to that level. Now I know how to stay there. I know what I'm doing. What was that for you, getting to that kind of Olympic level and that 70-plus metre mark?
I think strength played a big role, and it's annoying because like I've always been strong enough to do it, but I guess now I'm strong enough to do it badly as well. So it's kind of like if I have good technique in a throw, it's going to go a lot further, obviously. But even a bad throw these days, I'm strong enough that I can kind of muscle it out over 70 metres, which is good and bad. Like it's good because, you know, it means that if you're feeling a bit crappy, you know that you can back yourself to just grip and rip, as we say. But that's not the way you want to throw a hammer. It's not nice to look at, and it doesn't get you further if you keep trying to throw that way. So it's bad in that it encourages bad habits because you know you can get away with it. So yeah, definitely strength played a big role. But yeah, also the technique and really nailing down. Like I just getting consistent with the cues because for me it's always been the same stuff that we're working on. We're not trying to change anything drastic. It's just repetition of this really intricate technique, and as you get stronger, like you kind of go through phases of you get stronger and then it takes you another couple of weeks for that strength to translate into your new rhythm, and it's kind of the same rhythm but just a little bit faster. So yeah, the way to get the hammer further is as you get better is usually just by going faster, and the speed creates more force and that helps it go further. So yeah, being strong helps you do that, but also you just need to be training those patterns of rotation over and over again at different strength levels.
Because that's one of the things I really notice is that comparatively to a couple of the other throwers, I know there's a few throwers that obviously just in the learning phases of hammer, but it's how quick you move across the circle. And almost I was saying to Hayden that we see this almost like athletes that are throwing hammer just from a strength perspective, where you've got to this point where you're saying that you're strong, but actually you're bringing in the speed. So for a lot of those younger athletes, is that where they're kind of looking to progress, is to be like, okay, they've got the strength that they can really force it out over 40 metres, but to get to that 50, 60, 70 mark, they need to start to bring in that speed. Is that kind of one of the key?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say that's the big key is just nailing down that technique. And yeah, as you saw out there today, it was we had a few people go down. It was a bit slippery, and that's something that the wet of the circle makes it faster, and it exacerbates your flaws in your technique. And so that's I guess one way to train is in the rain, because you have to have a really solid technique. But yeah, it's definitely that speed and that balance as you go faster, because yeah, you kind of start going faster, which is all well and good, but you've got to kind of subtly adjust all your body positions and everything else as you go. You can't just go faster through the same technique. You've got to kind of get lower and get back further as you create more force. So yeah, you're kind of having to, it's like trying to put kittens back in a basket to take a photo of them and just keep escaping. And like
I love that metaphor. That's brilliant. Now, speaking of kittens back in the basket, I don't know if this transition will work, but if any young athletes are at home and have watched the summer of athletics and they're like, hammer's my thing, I want to get into hammer, where would you start? Say you're, I don't know, 13 or 14 years of age, you want to get to where you are maybe one day. What would you recommend as we see Connor Bell opening up his day in the discus circle, heaving it out around that 60 metre mark? Yeah, how do you get into this thing?
It is pretty hard. Like, not many people around the country coach it, but there are getting more coaches out there, which is cool. And a few high school coaches, Manu Dewa's one cool. In Auckland, they've got a really cool throw squad that's had some really cool volunteers step up and do some coaching. But they, I reckon get out and try and get the footwork down is the biggest thing. Get on YouTube. I think there's a few kind of footwork videos on there, and try and nail that footwork, because it's something that nobody picks up naturally. Like, it's such a weird movement that you just have to go out and practice it. So that would be my first hot tip, would be get the footwork down.
And did you start doing the other rotational throws as well? Shot put and discus. Did you ever do javelin?
No, I did it like my high school like sports day.
Yeah.
Because you had to do four events to like win the sports cup. So I had to, I actually did the 100 metres. I did the hurdles. I did the hurdles back in the day as my fourth event. But I used to do discus and shot just in high school. But don't really have very big hands or a big wingspan. Pretty short, so. I probably shouldn't be much good at the hammer throw either, but here we are.
Well, that's actually one of the interesting things I was talking about as well, is just that idea of so many New Zealanders now starting to break through those traditional barriers of sport. That idea of Hamish Kerr is a great example. No one's going, oh yeah, great New Zealanders, they're great high jumpers. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, I feel like the same thing. I think you've really been a leader in the hammer with that. It's just being like, New Zealanders, hammer? No, that's not a thing. But now you can see there's so many girls now at the international level, and I think you've really led that out. And like you said, you're not traditionally made for hammer, and it goes to show, that athletes can get there as long as they're working hard, they're working on a technique. And I think, is that kind of one of your big things, is that you're like, okay, I might not physically have whatever the genetics are in textbook to be a thrower, but you've now your technique and you're so quick that you've actually made up that gap. Is that kind of one of the things for you, or is it?
Yeah, for sure. I think probably my genetic gift would be fast twitch. So like I am pretty explosive. But yeah, in terms of like long levers and stuff, no hope here. But no, it's been so cool to see the hammer throw grow in New Zealand, and the fact that we're looking like we might have 3 women's throwers in the hammer throw at the Commonwealth Games. That just brings me so much joy. It makes me so happy. It's been pretty lonely, going out there by yourself,
totally.
And to have some of your mates out there throwing alongside you, like it's something to look forward to. And I'm so proud of the girls, and Nicole Bradley in particular has had such a breakthrough season, and she's been throwing almost as long as I have, and it's so awesome to see. And again, hard work pays off, consistency pays off. Like just showing up every day goes a long way. So. Shout out to Nicole for this season, I reckon.
That is so cool, as we see our reigning national discus champ enter the circle for the second time today, Tarina Keenan. Now, the thing that I would love to see at the Com Games, if all 3 of you are there, can we just organise like an entrance of all 3 of you coming out? Like choose a song,
just
an
like a relay.
Song,
Those relay entries are pretty cool.
Yeah, the dry ice. Can we just set up that scene?
Yeah.
That would be epic. At least get the photo of all 3 of you together.
Definitely. We can choreograph something, I think.
A few backflips.
Yeah, LB can do some backflips. She used to do gym, so
yes,
we can send her out first doing some flick-flacks down the runway.
Let's make it happen. Organisers of the Com Games, that's what we want to see. So thank you, Julia, for coming in. It's been an absolute privilege to have you in studio, and stoked that we can finish the season having seen you throwing the hammer. So, welcome back, and we can't wait to see how your 2022 goes.
Cheers. Welcome back, and good luck for the rest of the build-up.
Thank you. I just wanted to give a big shout-out to the officials and the organisers for this comp. Wouldn't happen without them, so thanks for making everything run smoothly.
Awesome. Thanks, Julia. So as you can see on screen, we've got the women's and men's discus getting into their second round now. We've got the women's pole vault as Natalia, the under-20 champion in the discus, just loses her balance on the release of that one. So I'll bring you up to speed on where we are at with this women's discus. In first place currently is Tatiana Kormoana with that 48.90, which she dropped in round 1. Then in second place is Tarina Keenan with a 48.24, so very close between those two. Natalia Rankinchita, she's not too far behind with a 46.99. Carmen Elizabeth Maritz has a 40.46, and Shannon Murphy a 20.27, which I believe may be a PB for Shannon.
Pretty exciting competition going on here. It's all very close at the moment. We are in our second round. That was great talk with Julia, very insightful.
Yeah, so good to hear some of the intricacies of how the hammer works. And you're right, like you almost need to go to a comp with like your physics textbook and just have it open to rotational forces chapter. You know?
Exactly. And one of the things that is super amazing about Julia as well is that we've been to World Juniors together in 2012. We've always been roommates actually at every competition we've been to, but she's been consistently building since since 2012, since that World Juniors, and she's just been amazing the whole way through, always finished really highly in international competitions. And I think that's one of the things that she's saying, about the other athletes like Nicole and stuff, just to have those breakthroughs when you've been at it for so long, but it's about that consistency. And so it's exciting to see when athletes kind of stick it through. It's sticking through the hard times as well, right? Because every athlete has those lulls. It might be in your mid-20s, you might get injured, you might have 2 or 3 seasons where you're like, this is rubbish. But it goes to show, especially for an athlete like her, she's like, cool, I've stuck this through and look how successful I've been on the other end. So, it was really exciting to kind of hear that from her.
Totally. And I think especially with throws, because typically in the high school, New Zealand secondary schools champs, we've got quite full fields in the throws. But, for those power athletes, you're not going to hit your peak for another probably 10 years, really. So, don't limit yourself to what you do in high school. You've still got years ahead of you. And like you've said, likes of Nicole peaking 10 years into her senior career is just so epic. So here we are. We're in round 2 with Tatiana. I think this will be a good improvement.
So the first row was 48.90.
We've also got the women's pole vault kicking off as well.
There we go, so the NZ Funds woman pole vault just kicking off, starting at 6 o'clock.
So we've got Hannah Edai. And there we are, we're opening things up. And the bar is at 3 meters 20 for Eliza Meekings to get things underway.
Next up on the track is the
So Eliza's got a season's best of 352 and a personal best of 360.
We're back over to our senior women's discus. Just into our second round there.
Yeah, so that was Carmen Elizabeth Merritt's.
First row was 40.47, so let's see how she's done there on her second throw.
Just 14 years of age, local girl.
Yeah, so it's amazing competing at this level already. So just a reminder for people watching at home, this is a permit meet. So for these young athletes, they are competing at what is an event which most athletes are doing to try to qualify for World Champs, Com Games, and accumulate world ranking points.
So Eliza Meekings, she's the only one.
That's Hannah.
That's Hannah Edai, sorry. So she goes clear, gets her day underway successfully. Not too sure about something. All right, back to Blessing Sefor, who is spinning now. We saw him in the first round just standing and delivering. And this time the rotation just sending him out over the front of the circle. I don't think we'll need to get a measurement on that one. So Blessing Sefor won the under-18 gold in both shot put and discus.
Okay, we're back to Eliza here in the pole vault. The bar's at 320. Oh, there we go. Oh. She's got the height. She just doesn't quite have the distance there, so she'll be going back to the coach just to... So much height.
Yeah, so much height.
So much height.
She was well clear on the vertical side of things, but just that horizontal.
Yeah, so it'll be one of those things you have a chat to the coach as well, and it's about, is she looking to move the run-up back? But it's probably more likely not looking to get another pole, because she did look a little bit soft there on the pole, so it's quite a large bend. Here we have Connor Bell.
Yeah, it's so good to have Connor Bell back in the discus circle. Came back from surgery late last year, got some ankle surgery, and he said he was pretty stoked with his performance at National Champs, taking out another title there.
Just stepping out there.
And I'll look up what he threw for the opening round. So straight out to 58.05. So that's a good opener for Connor. Foul on the second throw. And then we've got Troy Marker, who it looks like is throwing the junior implement. Good speed, really good power towards the end of that throw, and opened up with a 69.07, but that will be a foul, I think, just with that left foot going over the top of the circle.
There we go. We're back to the women's pole. The bar is at 3:20. We have Eliza here just lining up. This will be her third attempt at 3:20. Got a PB of 3:58, did we say? There we go. Nice, up and over. Oh, she have a little bit of relief there. We did see her on the second attempt. It was a really great height, but just not quite the distance.
Yeah, she's cleared 360 before, so.
Back to the senior women's discus here.
Yeah, here's Tarina Keenan. So, reigning national champ, 4 times national champ, went to the 2015 World Champs. Has a personal best of just over 60 metres. It looks like it's getting out towards the mid to low 50s. That could bump her into the lead. So Tatiana Kormoana has the lead with a 53.04.
So then here we are back to the women's pole vault. It's moved up to 3:40. We do have Eliza here. First attempt at 3:40. I expect to see a couple of the other athletes coming in around the 3:40 mark. 3:40 to 3:60, I think we'll see a lot of athletes coming in. First attempt. Nice, great clearance there. There we go. It goes to show that she's been back to talk to the coach. She's fixed those technical issues that we saw her kind of struggling with in those first few vaults there.
Yeah, so great having the smartphone right on hand, can give immediate feedback to these athletes. And we've got a guest interviewee, a guest commentator going to come in and share the commentary booth. So thanks, Portia. Be sure to pop back shortly and we'll get you to talk through some more of these events. Now, we've got Joanne Fenn coming in, who is a previous bronze medalist in the World Indoors, 800 metres, I believe. And Hannah and I going clear, has a little sit down on the mat. So, yeah, Joanne, welcome.
Thank you. You can just call me Jo now.
Jo.
Yeah.
All right. My name's Hayden.
Hey.
It's good to have you in here. And
it's great to be here. I've never done any commentating before, but I love my 800, so
awesome.
It's a good start.
Yes. As you can see, a few of the community 800s going on in the background.
Brilliant,
so
yeah.
That
always
will be,
good to see.
That will be kicking off shortly. So, yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, because obviously the listeners will have picked up there's an English accent there.
I'm a POM. I apologise, people. Yeah, I'm from the UK. I competed in the 800 for Great Britain many moons ago, running, my best time was 1:59.5.
Awesome.
Indoors, and my outdoor PB was 1:59.7. I think my highlights were Olympic semi-finalist, British record holder in the 1,000, and winning a bronze world indoor medal in the 800.
That's amazing. Very cool. And you've done one better than I have, because the number of times I ran 2:00 in the 800.
It's a frustrating time. But once you do it once, I remember the first time I broke 2 minutes, it was a really mixed kind of feeling I had, because it was the Commonwealth Games final in 2002, and I finished 7th but ran 1:59.
Yeah,
and so it was bittersweet, because I wish I'd won a medal and ran 1:59, but I think that's even better than winning a medal going under 2 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And the number, and I'm sure a lot of middle distance runners will appreciate this fact that last 100 metres, the clock's right there, but for some reason your legs have just gone on holiday.
Honestly, I was an amazing 600 metre runner.
Yeah.
I was amazing. But I can tell you, every 800 metre runner that is listening, it's not about 600, it's the last 200 that really counts.
Absolutely.
And if I knew what I knew now back then, I think I would have improved.
And talking about improvement, I think we've got Eliza Meekings over 360 for the first time, and so that equals her personal best. So she's in personal best form. She can tell how absolutely stoked she is.
Well done. It's a beautiful night, actually, outside. The wind's dropped, the sun's out, and I think athletes are feeling really good.
This is good weather for running 800s. You're nice and warm.
Yeah,
but not too warm.
Not too warm. Perfect, as you say.
Now, yourself, you're based in New Zealand these days?
I am. I fell in love with a Kiwi, didn't I?
Oh, nice work.
Didn't I?
Nice
I fell in love with a Kiwi, and 2 children later, we came back to New Zealand in 2018. And I'm loving life. Kids are 10 and 8 now, so...
Yeah.
And actually, my fiancé works for you guys, actually,
awesome.
as a nutritionist, Glenn Kearney.
Brilliant.
So, sport is in our family, and we just love track and field.
Cool. Brilliant. And so kids, are they getting the bug as well?
Eliza's 10. She certainly is. And our son, Bo, he's fast, man. He's fast. He can move. And Eliza's just like long and rangy. So who knows?
Cool.
You just want them to enjoy sport.
Yes.
I think for these juniors that we'll see tonight and that you've seen, it's just about retaining them and retaining their interest beyond 16, 17, 18 into their 20s, because I feel really passionate about girls who just need to stay in the sport and be confident throughout.
Also blessing Sefor, they're going for the rotational technique again. We saw him just do the stand and deliver technique for the first round. That worked for him, got him on the board, but now 2 fouls in using that technique. He's the under 18 champion in this event. But we're back to the pole vault, where the bar, I believe, is still at 360.
Oh, good clearance.
Youth Olympics champion, Youth Commonwealth Games champion, personal best in 64.29.
And here's Connor Bell, reigning discus champ. And I just had a chat to Connor. He's showed me a massive old scar on his ankle where he got surgery back in December. So really good to see him back to fitness and throwing well.
He looked really smooth there, I have to say. He looks effortless in the circle.
He does look really good. And
mean. Go, Connor. Yeah. Go on, son.
And he's still very young. Here is Aria Rhodes. So she had a good clearance just earlier. And over she goes. So that is a clearance at 360. We're just waiting for the results to come through and an update on that height.
That looked pretty good from Aria too.
Now, Joe, what was your entrance into the world of 800 metres? People either come from one way or the other. Was it from the shorter stuff moving up, or was it the longer stuff and moving down?
Well, it's interesting because at school I was pretty good at cross countries, and then for my club I was a sprinter. And then I found my niche, which was pentathlons, and I found that my strongest events were the 800 and the javelin.
Right.
So I was county javelin. Best was, I think, just under 40 metres at 16. So that was okay. And I just loved 800. I like pain. So, yeah, hopefully these girls in this B race won't feel too much pain, but elation. I'm looking forward to watching this race.
Yeah, big old field there. So we've got Kate Borton, Neve DeHora, Rosaria Gibson, Eva Houghton, Samantha Cork, Peyton Lee, Zari Lindsay, Mackenzie Morgan, Joanna Polland, Annabelle Richardson, Kate Robertson and Lucy Sheenan. So some quality athletes, all these girls sort of sitting around that 211, 212, 213 mark. We've got reigning and previous junior champions in this field. So
yeah, I love the mix. I love the mix of, you've got some under 18s, some under 20s, and some girls who are just waiting to break that 210 barrier.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that this race is going to be really competitive. There's a lot of girls in the mix of around 212, 213. So it'll be really interesting. I hope that they are aggressive and they don't sit back. I think that can be a problem with 800s. People don't want to lead.
Yeah.
There's no wind. I think, this is a perfect night to just take that opportunity and just get out there, get stuck in, be brave and commit.
what were your tactics? Were you a front runner?
Oh, mate, yeah. I was a front runner, and then I learnt my lesson that actually even split pace was the best way for me.
Yeah.
I remember at the 800 in the Commonwealth Games, I went off like an absolute crazy person, ran 56 seconds for the first 400.
Yeah.
My PB at the time was 55. Obviously, I didn't finish well and finished 7th in that race. So I think just being smart. I think, you know, everyone knows where they're around 2:12. I expect them to go through the bell around, I don't know, maybe 65-ish would be good, you know, and then building on that, or even slightly quicker, 63, I think, is too fast. If they could do even split, 65, then they're knocking on the doors to PBs, lots of them. Yeah, I think the person to look out for, I was looking at this list earlier, I know Rosaria Gibson is running pretty well. She's got good depth as well. She runs, I know there's a few of them that run 15s, and hopefully they can use that strength. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, Rosaria, she won the gold in the 1500 and then silver medaled in this event for the under 18s. So there were some great races, those junior middle distance events. So big field with a couple of pairs in the lanes.
Yeah, I never like sharing a lane. I'm like, give me my own lane.
The elbows come out very quickly.
You know, it's just focusing on that 100, break in, and then getting stuck in. So.
And often they'll pair a slower athlete with a faster athlete, so they do usually sort themselves out pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's just settling for that first 100 and then getting into a rhythm for 2 and then just working and working and working. I like to split it into 4 200s. That's how I dealt with it with my mind. So it'll be interesting. Some of them are 1,500 metre runners. It'll be interesting to watch. But let's go, girls. Come on, let's get 2 10s. Come on, let's do this. Here we go.
All right, so they are off. This is Heat B of the women's 800 metres, and you can see an immediate separation. It looks like these girls leading things out at the front among that sort of 211, 212 group that we've talked about. And this is a good, strong opener by our runner on the inside. I will try and get
She's just slowing down. She's actually taken a look at her time and she's probably thought, whoa, I'm a bit too keen here. Let me just settle. She looks like she's settled. And good person for going out front. Hopefully she can be caught up by the rest of the field, and let's get some competition in here.
Yes, I believe that's Anna Tucker, so one of the local girls, just taking things out nice and strong and doing those pacemaking duties, which is so helpful. And then we've got Samantha Cork just in there, and Kate Borton just sitting in second place. So Samantha Cork's sitting in second behind the pacemaking.
She's good. She's run 2:13 this year, so I'm not sure what that was at 400.
No, we didn't get a split on that, unfortunately.
But she's taken the lead, and she looks like she's not hanging about. So I like that she's committed. It's up to the rest of the field to catch her up. The girl in second is looking really strong. I think the key is from 500 to 600, that's when you have to switch on mentally and go, right, it's about the last 300. You just want to work and work. And it looks like, she's going well. Samantha's still hanging in there. It's all about the last 100 metres. Obviously, these two girls have pulled away, and we'll see what happens. Yep. Samantha looks like she's on her shoulder now, and can she pass her? I think she's looking pretty strong.
Yeah, a bit of movement coming in at the back in that second pack, but it is Kate Borton and Samantha Cork head-to-head here. Samantha's found another gear. She's pulling away in the last 100 metres. Great turn of speed and good little battle here for third place as well, but it's Samantha Cork. She's going to take the win ahead of Kate Borton, and we will get times on that shortly, but it looked like it was nice and speedy.
It was, yeah. I think she did really well there. She led for a bit, settled in, and then was strong enough to finish strong. So well done, Samantha.
So that's 2:13 for Samantha. And
okay, I wonder, her PB's 2:13.05. She must have been really close to that. But I loved the way that she was really committed and aggressive in the last 100.
Yeah, and great to see that commitment. Like often once you get past in an 800 you're going backwards, but to really stick at it and have that tenacity to pick yourself up.
Sometimes I find it really difficult when you have a pacemaker, because people are scared to go with the pacemaker. The pacemaker is doing their job. You know, it's up to the girls to be on that pacemaker. But Samantha, all credit to her. She ran well, she stayed strong, and to her credit, she came away with a win. So good things. I like watching her. She's aggressive, really, really strong.
So if you've just joined the coverage here at the Daikin Night of Fives, my name's Hayden Shearman, and I'm joined by a former British runner, Joanna Fenn, who was an 800-metre specialist. Now, you would have been in the same era as Dame Kelly Holmes. Did you have any good battles with?
I had many battles, yeah.
Did you get any wins over here? No.
Do you know what? I saw the back of her spike too many times.
Gosh darn it.
And she was my nemesis, and I always finished second behind her.
Pretty good person to finish second behind.
Yeah. I mean, she won 2 gold medals in Athens. She could have given me one. I mean, how greedy. No, but she was absolutely a formidable athlete, super strong, and unfortunately, I was in the era of Kelly Holmes, Marie Matola. Loads of really strong 800-metre athletes. But you learn fast, and it's a tough event. It's tough training. Mentally, it's tough, but I really like that B race. I think it was really good, and I'm really looking forward to the women's A. I think we've got some really good contenders for that, and I think it will be another competitive race. We've got Holly Manning to look out for. Don't know where my start list is, but I think it will be really competitive. They've watched that B race. I think they'll be inspired by that, and hopefully they can go out pretty hard.
Yeah, we've had multiple girls drop PBs in the last few weeks, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see getting very close to that 2-minute mark. So here's the start list for the men's B race. We've got Zach Bellamy, Josh Brown, Thomas Cowan, Luke Cudby, Jack Erickson, Oliver Markle, Connell McLean, Angus Munro, Oscar Munro, Quinn Moss, and Alfie Steedman. Nice field, good number, 11 in that race. Thomas Cowan's run 156, and we've got Luke at 159. Again, I think the field is around the same. Hopefully we'll see. It'd be nice to see a 156, 155. They all look pretty relaxed. I can see, are they twins? They look like twins. Must be.
Are they? I'm a twin. I've got a twin brother, by the way.
Awesome.
We don't look identical.
Has he broken 2 for the 800? There you go.
He hasn't.
Yeah, the number of twins in athletics is actually amazing, and it's we've got I think it was Chloe Brown was just in that previous race, and her sister Bella. Those two go head to head a lot.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's the brothers, the Angus and Oscar, smiling at each other. I think it's super important to be really relaxed. I used to try and smile a lot before a race. It just helps relax you, gets you ready. So I love that he looks like a character, actually. I love that. I love seeing character on the track. So let's enjoy. Let's enjoy this field.
So this is the men's B race. We've got the A race, men's and women's, to come up after these 2 events. And we are joined in studio by Joanna Fenn, British 800-metre runner, and we were just talking about your running with the other British girls, namely Dame Kelly Holmes.
Kelly.
That 2004 double gold, I mean, it's one of the all-time doubles ever. And correct me if I'm wrong, but she was cross-training for most of the build-up, wasn't she?
She was a beast. I remember she came in from the from a training session the night before, and her body was just, I've never seen leanness like it.
Yeah.
She came in and I just looked at her and was like, whoa, she looks like she can run forever.
Yeah.
At like 156 pace. She looked incredible form. And yeah, she was a beast. I mean, she had an army background, so she was not afraid of pain.
Yeah.
Perfect formidable
prep
athlete.
for the 800.
Yeah, absolutely. She was strong. I think it's really important to have upper body strength, and I think some middle distance athletes are afraid of training in the gym. I think it's super important. I think athletes should train a bit more in the gym and should really work on speed as well, because I think there's lots of athletes out there with the depth of 1500. I'd like them to try some 4s and just get some more speed.
All right, so I think this is the final attempt at 380 for Isabel Merrill. She knocks it off, and that will be the end of her day in the pole vault. So we've got Isabella Merrill clears 360 but misses 3 at 380. Aria Rhodes has one more attempt at 380, and then Eliza Meekings has also bowed out at 380 after clearances at 320, 340 and 360. So very close for those girls. This is Aria will be looking to nab the win if she can do this final vault clearance at 380. All right, here we
go.
Men's B 800 metres.
Okay, they've all gone off quite evenly around the bend. Let's see, they'll probably tuck in after this 100, settle into the pace.
So it looks like our Pakuranga athlete is on pacing duties out the front, and is that Thomas Cowan of North Harbour Bay's just tucked in behind him, and then one of the Munro brothers there who, well, I'm guessing they're brothers because they are born 2 years apart, so must be surely brothers.
They're not twins, yeah.
It's a very strange birth if it is twins.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are 300 and a bit metres into this race.
That's good. Pacemaker checking his time. You do have a tendency to go off like a train sometimes as a pacemaker, but I think he's done his job well, taking the boys through in a time of, don't know what the time was there.
Unfortunately we've got no sideline clock there either, but it is Thomas Cowan that's just leading things out. And then one of the Munro boys rolls on by. I'm going to go with that being Angus Munro from Pakuranga, keeping that leg turnover nice and high, looking nice and smooth as he comes in to steer into that evening sun along the back straight there. Coming in with 200 metres left to roll and really opening this one wide open.
Really good. He's done well to get to 600 in a really good relax. He's really working this bend. He's pulling away from the field.
So Oscar Munro, here he comes onto the finishing straight. He'll know the stadium well. You can see him just gritting his teeth.
Good go, Oscar.
Thomas Cowan is doing his best to try and come back, but I think Oscar Munro has enough. He holds on for the win, and a strong finish there from Thomas Cowan for second place.
Yep, he did well. Thomas I think Oscar just got away from him a little bit with 600 to go. He did really well to hang on to the win, and it was a good run by both athletes.
And Hannah Adai pulling out of that one. Now, this is going to give the scorers a little bit of a challenge. I think it will mean that Aria Rhodes and Isabella Merrill will finish in second place equal. That was Imogen Eris opening up her campaign at 4:30. So just bringing you all up to speed with things. So
that was lovely, Angus, just congratulating his brother. I'm sure they'll have a lot to talk about tonight on the way home. But a really good win for Angus there. He looked strong and, again, really committed.
Now this women's and men's discus competition, so I'll bring you up to speed with the women's competition. We're in round 5, and leading the competition with a throw of 53.04 is Tatiana Komoana. Tarina Keenan is sitting in second place, not too far back with a 51.39. Natalia Rankin-Cheetah with a 49.07. And Carmen Elizabeth Maritz has a 44.58. And Shannon Murphy with a 21.10, which I believe is a PB. He's looking pretty relaxed for the last 100 of an 800.
Really strong. Yeah, it's really nice to see. He held his form with the last 100 to go and stayed relaxed. I think that's the key. You hold your form, you stay relaxed when it matters. Good, strong run.
So Imogen Eris getting her day underway. And as you can see, the wind's just lightly blowing them home. It's pretty gentle, warm conditions. The distance runners preparing for the 5K later this evening will be arriving at the track, unpacking their bags and getting into their warm-up gear. And they will be pleased to see the lack of wind. So here's the women's 800. This is going to be an absolute cracker. This has been one of the domestic events to keep your eye on. Now, Cameron Smart there, she's going to be pacemaking this event. I believe maybe Jessie Speedy as well. We'll wait and see what happens with that. But we've got Sophie Atkinson running on the inside. Bella Brown, Jennifer Hawke, Macy Hilton, Esther Kewen, Holly Manning, Penelope Salmon, Cameron Smart, Jessie Speedy, Rosa Twyford and Kerry White. There are some very speedy girls. There are some women who have been on PB form this year. And can Holly Manning continue the wonderful season that she's having as Cameron Smart takes out her pacemaking duties? Has a little look at the watch.
I'm liking what I'm seeing. It's really nice to see such a competitive race. We do have some girls who are in really good PB shape, and they'll be going into this race full of confidence and full of knowledge that they can produce a really good time today. 2:05 would be amazing. Sub 2:05 would be incredible. They're all settling into their pace now, but really strong from Holly, and I think that's Macy Hilton. Pacemaker looking at her watch just to check.
Yeah, Jennifer Hawke just there.
There we go. We're going through in 60. 60 is a great... I think everyone should go through in 60 seconds. It's awesome. 60. Come on, girls. You've got this.
So there we go. Cameron Smart running further than she's ever run before.
Go on,
that I've seen
go on.
So there she goes through 500 metres. Her job's done, and that'll leave it up to Holly Manning, the reigning national champion. Now following close on her heels is Jennifer
running
Hawke.
From Holly. Go on, Holly. She's running well. Close behind her, we've got...
Yeah, Jennifer Hawke just sitting in second place. So she's the bronze medalist from the Nationals as they come into the last 200. Here they come round the bend. How much hurt are they in? Because they went through the 200 pretty quick.
Yeah,
and like
pretty good. Maybe they've never been there before. Looking like we've got some high shoulders and just tightening up there by Holly.
Yeah, Jennifer looking nice and strong.
Jennifer
so here
is looking
Holly.
the more relaxed. Holly is hanging on for dear life.
So here comes Holly Manning. She's your
strength.
reigning national champion. She's run a PB this season. Can she improve
Hang
it?
on.
There she goes.
Well
She'll
done.
take the win. Holly Manning ahead of Jennifer Hawke.
The strength of the 1500 running, I think, kept her in form there. That hurt, but she hung on and ran a really solid race there. Well done, Holly.
And we'll need to go back and see the replay to capture who got third.
And see the splits on that too. I think they went through in around 60-61 from our clock up here in the commentary box.
And
Let's
I
see.
think it was Rosa Twyford who came up for third place.
Third. Well done.
Yeah, so 2:04.07
Yes!
is the final time
Oh,
for Holly
fantastic.
Manning. Jennifer Hawke comes through with a 2:04.56. Rosa Twyford in 2:06.86. And Kerry White had a really strong day, 2:07.78.
They're laughing, they're smiling. They
new PB
committed
for
themselves. I think most of them will be really happy with their performances. Holly ran really strong, just outside her own PB, but she is running around 2:03, 2:04. Next race she'll be breaking, knocking on doors 2:02, and then who knows, sub 2. Come on, you can get there.
And
this is fantastic
Cameron
running.
Smart, I wonder if this gave her a little wetter appetite for the 2-lapper. More known, of course, as a 400-metre runner. Getting a silver medal, was it? Bronze in the 400 metres at the National Champs. And there is the recap of the pole vault. So unfortunately for Imogen, no height at 4:30. Always disappointing when you pass to 4:30. And first place, equal, goes to Isabella and Aria. Liza Meekings in third and Hannah Adai with that 3:40 clearance in fourth. So Imogen, unfortunately, not getting that mark.
No, that's
on
tough.
There, and this
that's
is
tough.
potentially her final final vault.
Speed. Oh.
Yeah, and just an awkward landing there as well.
It's
so glad
technical,
that
the pole vault.
Yes.
I would not fancy the pole vault. Respect to these women that are out there running vertically.
Oh, looks like there will be actually a jump off in the pole vault, which is exciting. So 2 women finishing equal on first place. We couldn't sort them out from countback, so we will sort them out by a jump off. Now, how this works is it's a vaulting competition in reverse. So we essentially start from a height and then we keep going lower and lower until we can separate the two. Now, this is the start of the men's A race.
Let's go.
Some
let's
speedy
go.
boys. So we've got Jeremiah Rogo will run in lane 1. Then Sam Averill, Benjamin Wall, James Harding, Michael Dawson, Luke Hitchcock, Mikhail Starzinski, Dominic Devlin, Josh Brown, Logan Cowie, James Ford, Jack Payne. There are some speedy boys in this field, and I notice Sam Petty's been moved up into this race as well. Is he? I'm just looking for him. I'm not sure if he is there after all that. But there we go. We are off and running with this A final. It's going to be really interesting to see if the young boys can stick it to the more established athletes, the likes of Michael Dawson. But it looks like James Harding is sitting in second place
going
there.
on there.
There is. There's
It's
a
hard
lot
to
of
stay
traffic.
on your feet. Yeah, there's a lot of traffic. The boys are trying to find their right position and they're fighting for it. And you see that a lot in the 800. It's really physical in that first 200, but they've really settled down now. And it's fast.
James
pretty
Harding
fast.
prepared to go past the pacemaker in the first 400 metres.
It's 52 for the first 4.
Yeah, James Harding looking nice. So
He's
Michael
looking
Dawson,
good.
he's a former national champion in the 800 metres. He's run under 150. He's a 149 man. On his shoulder is Dominic Devlin, the bronze medalist in the 800 metres. But James Harding, he has seriously come here to play ball. He's got a massive lead, and this split at 600 metres is going to be very interesting.
15-metre lead there, and he's still looking strong at 600. He's tearing the field apart at this stage.
So it's going to be a big battle for second and third place, but at the moment James Harding is really teaching the field a lesson, pulling away. Here he comes onto the final straight. James Harding, can he hold it together? Here he goes, putting his foot down, gritting his teeth. This is where it hurts, but this is where, can we see him get well underneath 150? We will. This is a huge run.
Fantastic
Wow.
running by James.
Big PBs behind him as
Lots
well.
of PBs behind them. That was really gutsy. Really
What
hard to
a
lead from
run.
the beginning. And he maintained that strength and speed throughout. That was really good, positive running by James. Well done.
So James Harding, 147.96. That's a big PB by almost a
He
second.
smashed it.
He had to do it by passing the pacemaker in the first 400 metres. You can see the pain, but he puts the finger in the air because he knows that that is a wonderful run that he's just capped off what's been a great domestic season.
Super impressive. And you know what's funny? They probably do a lot of that in training. It's so nice that he has been able to show what he's made of when it matters. So that was a really, really impressive run by James.
Big result from Michael Dawson
comes
coming
Connor.
back to run a PB. And Connor getting it out close to 60 metres.
White flag. Always good to see the white flag.
Very good. And I can tell you, Connor Bell has thrown 3 fouls and he's in the 5th round. Well, that was the 6th round throw. So he has done 58.05 and then a 58.81 in round 5. So we'll wait and see what that 6th round throw was. And Troy Marker, throwing the junior implement, has done a 69.25. And Blessing Sefor finishes with a 36.70 from that first round.
This is a 380 metre. Oh, she's pulled up. She's not happy, and she'll go again.
So this is Isabella Murrell, and I'll see if our results system can keep track of how this this jump-off situation can work.
It shows maturity that she stopped. She wasn't ready. She went back and has regained composure. I really like to see that. She's got the time. Go on, girl, get over this.
she is. First attempt at 380. And the jump off and the pole vault goes up, goes back down.
Nope, she wasn't ready, but she'll have 2 more attempts of this. She's still smiling. That's great. She's got this.
It'll be interesting to see how they play it, because obviously you don't want to fatigue yourself if you think that 380 is too much of a challenge.
That was really impressive watching the 800s. I think it's just so nice to see. I think New Zealand are really producing some really good middle distance athletes, and it's so hard because of COVID. Athletes haven't been able to travel and get the competition, and we just keep having, I say we, I feel like a Kiwi now, but it's so important to have these meets to allow, you know, the athletes to be in competitive races. We had a similar thing called the British Milers Club, and you know, at one point I was running 220. Look at the rainbow.
Look at that.
I can see a rainbow.
I love it.
Sing a rainbow.
It's the first singing we've
I knew.
had
I was trying
tonight.
to get a little
love it.
sing.
Yeah.
I love my singing.
Very good.
Here we go.
So this is Aria Rhodes.
Go on, Aria.
This will be her first attempt at 380, which, by the way, for both these women would be a personal best.
Oh.
So that's what we're looking at.
New territory. She looks focused.
She goes, clips it with her feet.
It's unlucky there.
Both these women have personal bests at 375. So that sets up a cool little storyline that we can see unfold. Now, they've done hugs. Does that mean they are willing to share it, lower the bar?
Isabella's kind of saying, no, I'm not sure. I don't know what happens here.
Neither do I. This is getting too deep into the rule book for me. Well, we're removing bibs, so...
They're taking their numbers off.
So maybe they're joint winners. Is that what happens? Or is it just on countback, or are they exactly the same? Or
yeah, so they're exactly the same at countback. So Aria Rhodes opened up with a 340. Isabella passed at 340, but then was first-time clearance at 360, and so was Aria. And then they both missed all 3 attempts at 380. So I'm assuming we've just decided to share the honours and head over to the meal tent.
All the officials are working that out. They're the experts.
A little
mini conference or are they organising a beer after?
We're not too far away from the food tent, and I can smell the refreshments from here just wafting in through the door. So I'm sure we'll get this one worked out eventually.
Oh, it's just really nice to be watching live athletics, to be honest.
It is.
I'm 10 minutes drive away, so that's really good to see.
All right, here's a wrap-up of the men's discus. So Troy Marker, throwing the junior implement, finished with a 69.25. Connor Bell, 58.81. So not quite into that 60 zone that he was at the national champs. And then we had Blessing Sefort with that first round throw. Now in the women's, this was nice and close up the front. Tatiana Kulmoana taking things out with that 53.16. Great way to finish. Tarina Keenan will settle for second with that 51.39, and Natalia Rankinchita with that 49.07. Right, we are going to go live over to the 100 metres. Now this is the women's para 100 metres. And we have... Well, one of the key names to watch is Danielle Aitchison, who is running in the pink there. She's a Tokyo Olympian, and on the outside of her, Anna Stephen.
So strong there.
Storming away.
She stormed away, didn't she?
Wonderful finish there. So apologies that we didn't quite capture the full start of that event. I'll just open up the results and see if we can... Yeah, so it is Anna Stephen who takes the win in 13.84. Now, compared to what she did at Nationals with a 14.32, that's a massive improvement.
Yeah, she could have kept running there too. She could have run for another 20 metres. You know, she was just looking super strong.
So 2.1 metre second tailwind, unfortunately. So that just puts it out of range for national records or personal best.
It's a shame.
The legal tailwind is 2.0, which is surprising because it's so light out there, but it does mean that maybe we will get some good favourable tailwinds for the other sprints that are still to come. Danielle Aitchison in second place with a 14.40. Paddy Walsh, 15.09. Shannon Murphy skips over from the discus circle into the 100 metres, 16.81. And Gabrielle Wright with a 21.29. Now, in the boys, fresh off. So, in the boys, we've got Mitch Joint lining up. Now, he's, I believe he's fresh off a New Zealand record at the National Champs a couple of weeks ago. Represented New Zealand at the 2019 Dubai Para-Athletics Champs. He will run in lane 1. Jaden Mulvold will also be lining up. Zachary Orble, Joe Smith and Jackson Woolley.
Yeah, the boys just checking their starts out. Always really technical with blocks, but it has to be done. They always have to practice before, and it's nice to see that they're going through those motions with their starts, and they'll be ready to go shortly.
So Mitch Joint has gone under 12 seconds with that 11.86, and he had a perfect tailwind of 2.0.
Yeah, I hope the wind settles a little bit and they can get some legal times here. Hopefully it will drop and we'll see some really good performances here. I'm so happy I never use the blocks.
That is the great thing about the 800. No technical starts, but you see all sorts of interesting things when middle distance runners come up to the start line and they find they've never practiced it.
I did a full start once in an 800. So embarrassing. My goodness.
And there's a wrap-up of that very intriguing women's pole vault competition with Isabella and Aria sharing the honours in first place. And so with that false start, were you allowed to run, or was it a DQ?
This was before they were really ruthless. Yeah, so I did get another chance. And I would wait. I'd never go on the B of the bang like Linford Christie always suggested.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was easy as an 800-metre runner. And I'm really bad with direction, so it was good that there was a bell on the second lap, so I would remember, 1 lap to go.
One of my favourite things about middle distance runners is when they line up and left foot forward, left hand forwards. That's great.
See, I trained with a sprints coach, so I was very technical in my start. I got that right, but so many athletes are just left and left, and you're like, but then you have to reshuffle just before you start. I don't understand it, which is why I think middle distance athletes need to
do some
prepare
400s
as a sprinter and do lots of drills and skills. I think that's what helped me. I was running a lot more efficient. Let's see how these boys go.
So Jaden Mulvold in the wheelchair there, head down. Next to him is Mitch Joint, then Joe Smith wearing the blue of Auckland, and Jackson Woolley from Tauranga. Here we go. Getting the good start was Joe Smith, but right on his shoulder, Mitch Joint. Jackson Woolley running as well, but here comes the speed of Mitch Joint really pulling away, showing them that speed that brought him to a national record. And we'll also see Jaden Mulvold come into picture now. But really nice and quick from Mitch Joint. Once he gets up to speed,
and he
just
had an
gets those wheels going.
High knee lift as well, which is super important. So, yeah, beautiful running there.
So we saw that good start from Joe. And we can tell you the wind is legal, 1.6. So let's wait and see what these times come through. So it's 11.97 for Mitch Joint, so just outside of his PB, but another sub-12 clocking. Joe Smith, 12.23. Jackson Woolley, 12.65. and it is an 18:31 for Jaden Movold.
I love that he finished super strong and stayed relaxed and was able to go past there. It's really impressive by Mitch.
So all these boys in different para categories. So we may need to just work out the percentage of world records and then work out who gets the win on the day. Now at Nationals it was Mitch Joint who did take it out. But Mitch looking nice and speedy again, so it would be great to see him back on the international stage this year.
Yeah, it was a good start by Joe there as well. Just maybe lost a little bit of form in the middle, but it's all about relaxation in the sprints. You know, you've got to stay relaxed even when you feel someone on your shoulder.
So there we go. Now I assume we'll be covering these Masters 100 metres. Now, have you ever have you done any?
Before you say it, no.
Can we convince you back into
I've
run
been
with
tempted.
the kids?
Do you know what? I've been tempted to throw a javelin.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because then I can eat what I like and I don't have to worry. I can, you know, I need more strength for javelin throws. But no, I'm sort of tempted, but I'm too busy as a mum taking all my kids to, you know, various sports activities.
But you can't let the kids beat you, right? Once they start getting into
it,
then
no,
you've got to show them.
Mummy can still win.
All right, so on the inside, lane 3, we've got Chris Waring, then Philippa Green, Lydia Bush, Jill Heyman, all the runners from North Harbour Bays, well supported from this local event, and Philippa Green really pulling away.
That is fantastic running by Philippa Green there. So fast and just beautiful attacking arms, really pumping those arms to pull away from the rest of the field. It was really good running. So as a master, you have to be, what, over 40? Is that the deal?
They've brought it down to 35.
Is it 35? Oh, no way. No, Portia.
Yeah, great finish there from Chris. Yeah, so it was actually Chris Waring taking it out in 13.9.
13.9?
Well, hang on, we're getting some chopping and changing with these results. It was Philippa Green, I was
Philippa,
right.
yes.
So Philippa taking it out 13.91.
Oh, go Philippa.
I don't know if I could break 14 these days.
No, I'll be struggling now. I need to seriously stretch my hamstrings.
Yeah, it's incredible running there from Philippa. Both Lydia and Jill Heyman dipping under 15 seconds. Only just Lydia Bush running 14.94. Jill Heyman with a 14.98. Then Chris Waring with a very credible 17.75. As we see the Masters men, and there's a really good Masters sprint community here at North Harbour Bays. I know they do a lot of training together, and really is cool to see. You know, often I come from a distance background, and you know, as you get older, people tend to go longer. But I often encourage athletes that I coach, don't leave the shortest stuff. Keep those fast switch fibers going.
It's so important, you know, especially for women and osteoporosis. I think you've got to load sometimes, and you know, I'd be tempted more, I think, to do sprints than to be running marathons at 47 years old. You know, I think it takes a lot out of you, the constantly pounding on the track. But, you know, now I sort of train and do short, sharp, fartlecky stuff rather than long runs.
Yeah.
And then I have my cake and biscuits. I'm joking.
I love it.
And a nice beer.
I'm in the same boat as you. The fartlek is just such a wonderful way to train, especially as you get older and your body's maybe not doing what it used to do.
Yeah.
And you can just dictate the pace and get out there and run in nature and play around with that speed.
Yeah, I think it's Torino I see here on a Sunday because I come down and do some coaching, and I recognise a few of these guys. And I wonder how many of them have taken up sport. You know, I wonder how many of them did sport in their 20s or have just decided to take it up in their late 40s. I encourage everyone who's thinking about it, who's watching this, to just give it a go. You know, we always talk about our grassroots, but honestly, life does not stop at 40. Now, I'm playing East Coast Bays football. now.
That's awesome.
For a senior team. Big shout
Amazing.
out to Harmony and Stacey if you're listening.
I love it. Now, I've also got some numbers in front of me, which I'm guessing are birth years. Now, the birth years range from 1984, which is Aaron
that's
Jefferson.
young.
Yeah, just a youngster. To next to him, Tony Dolores, who was born in 1947.
Stop it. Look at him. It's
1947,
amazing.
still lining up in the 100 metres.
Go.
Everyone watching at home, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing with your life?
Put those crisps down. Get to the track.
I'm very impressed. So we've got Tony Dolores running in lane 2, Aaron Jefferson lane 3, Andrew Weeks in lane 4, Grant Hodges lane 5, Scott Dorset lane 6, Tarandu Wiratni in lane 7, and Timothy Turner in lane 8. Off they go, and it looks like Andrew Weeks has got a good start. Next to him, Aaron Jefferson is also running well, but it looks like Andrew's pulling away, but here comes the pack chasing him down. Can they get him? And Tony Dolores, here he comes as well. Born in 1947, looking very speedy.
Wow, that was so impressive. I love that every single man on the field had the most amazing, efficient technique. And I think when you get older, you have to be smarter with your training. You have to be smarter with your technique. And you can see all of them, driving, arms, high knees. You know, they've all got that high knee lift and it's propelled them home. They all look fantastic. Well done and respect to every single one of you guys.
So brilliant running. And as you say, staying low at the start, but then really getting up as they get up to speed, standing tall, keeping those knee drives nice and high.
Yeah.
No lack of hip mobility for these men. Looking very strong over that last 30 metres or so. And
I'll be interested in the times here. We're waiting for the times to come up. But they all enjoyed it. Some of them are limping off, but I'd be limping off too.
So born in 1947, that makes him almost 75.
Wow.
There we go. There are the results. So 12:40 is the final time for Andrew Weeks. That's the win. 12:68 for Aaron Jefferson. Grant Hodges rounds out the top 3, 12:69. But there we go. Tony Dolores, 15:22.
Really, really good. I'd love to see
Impressive.
a mixed race here in the Masters. I think the women and the men could mix it up a bit. Just saying. Putting it out there.
That would be great. Well, Joe, it's been an absolute privilege to have you in the commentary booth. Be sure to come and knock on the door if you're around the country
Absolutely.
and want to join us in the commentary booth.
Thanks for inviting me, and I'll hand over to Portia.
Brilliant.
Have a great night, guys. Amazing.
Thank you, Joe. So Joanna Fenn, former British 800-metre runner, now based in New Zealand, part of the New Zealand athletics community. Awesome. And we have the final of the Sleep Drops Women's 100 metres. Here we go. We've got Brianna Irving lining up on the inside, Muriel Venida, Talia Van Rooyen, Simone Tafanai, Isabel Neal, Nadia Evans, Anna Tucker. Well, Portia Bing, this is going to be an electric final.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting. I'm all fueled up. Not that I'm actually racing, but, you know, I've been down there, had some food. It was delicious. And, yeah, it's going to be a really exciting final. I think it's going to be a little bit of like, hey, let's watch what's happening here in the middle. I think, like I said, Talia is running really amazing, and we saw Isabel Neal really open up in that 100. And I think she's a little bit underrated at how quick she is. She's got some wheels in her, definitely. And, yeah, I love watching the 100s, though, when they line up. Sometimes I'm like, oh, wish I was out there, you know, really challenging them all. That's just a joke, by the way. Just want to put it out there. I've been trolling Zoe Hobbs all year, and
you would be able to challenge them all much more than I would. So I'll take your word for it. Now, what are we going to see? Because we've got 400-metre silver medalist in lane 6. We've got Simone Tafanai, bronze medalist in the 100 metres last year. And then it's really the youngsters. Muriel Venida, Talia Van Rooyen, Nadia Evans.
I think the big thing for a lot of these youngsters as well will be actually going through the motions, making sure that they're accelerating and trying to run their own race. And actually I think the same thing for someone like Isabel, who's not necessarily experienced with lining up right next to a person. And I know that's something that I struggle with when I do 400s. You're lining up and you're literally right next to them, and they're like breathing on you, and when they're starting, they're grunting, and you're like, you're right there, which you don't get that in a 400 because you're staggered.
Yeah.
And, and I was like, that's one of the things in 100 that is really, really hard to do, is to actually focus on doing your own race and going through your own motions. I know when I race against some of the 100 girls, sometimes I end up trying to match their leg turnover, which is detrimental for me. So, yeah, but definitely all eyes will be kind of in the middle of the field here today. Conditions are really good. You can see the winds died down. They have been around the 2.0s, but hoping for...
I think it should be ideal. Still relatively warm as they are in the block, so it's Tucker, Irving, Venita, Van Rooyen, Tuffanai, Neal, Evans, Adams. This is the final of the 100 metres. Here they go. Getting a good start was Talia Van Rooyen. Marielle Venita looking good. Isabel Neal, here she comes. That strength for the 200 and the 400. Here she goes, pulling away from the field. I believe it's Isabel Neal for the win, but man, that was close. Well, our results are just coming through. No, I'm going to hold off because I've called this a couple of times and the results have been changed up a couple of times. The angle that we had was a little bit tricky, but talk us through this, Portia Bing.
Yeah, so one of the things that was really good to see there, we saw all the girls really accelerating hard, but quite an interesting point is we just see Isabel Neal here just starting to open up. She's got quite long strides and just really moving through the finish line there. And it was almost like she was gaining momentum, so she was only just getting quicker as the 100 went, which was awesome to see because she obviously followed her own natural pattern in the beginning, accelerated, knew that it would be maybe a couple of the other girls might be a bit ahead of her in those first steps. And as you see Nadia Evans in there as well, she had a really quick start, but obviously didn't throw some of those girls off. There you go, you see Isabel really pulling through there.
Yeah, you
and so close between the two junior girls there on the outside as well.
Absolutely. So that's right next to each other. You've got the under-20 champion and the under-18 100-metre champ going neck and neck all the way to the line. So we're just waiting for these times to be confirmed. Now, strangely enough, the wind has swung around to a negative 0.1. So a slight headwind for these ladies, just slowing them down a little bit. So that's a bit weird.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a sign that we're in very light wind conditions. So just oscillating back and forth. And we should have some results coming up. So those need a little bit of updating. So we're getting confusing results through to the studio here. We know that Isabel Neal took the win.
Yeah, so it was
it's
Isabel,
around 11.8 too.
Yeah, so it would have been Isabel Neal, I think Talia, then who was third?
Marielle?
Yeah, Marielle was third. We just wait for those results to come through. But yeah, pretty exciting stuff, and actually really cool to see a race where, you know, a few of our top girls who are running those low 11s weren't in that race, but to see that our next group of girls are still in that sub-12 space is pretty amazing.
And here's the men's 100-metre final. So we've got Micah Rogo running on the inside, Cade Lambert, Jordan Bolland, Tommy Tapuni, Zachary Saunders, Lewis Arthur, Ethan Bush, and Joe Box. Man, it's going to be tough to pick between lanes 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Lanes 3, 4, and 5. And actually, we've got three very different runners. Obviously, we talked about Jordan just being an absolute machine and bullet out of the start. But we've seen Zach really opens up. He's more of a 200-metre runner. And we saw Tommy just slowing down in the heat as well. So we're not really sure what he's packing for that. So it's going to be a very tight race, I suspect.
So times coming into this from those heats, like you say, there was some slowing down towards the end, but Jordan Bolland slightly got the edge with that 10.72. Zachary Saunders 10.81. Tommy Tapuni was slowing up on the line, 10.92. But good to see Tommy coming back into some good form. So Zachary Saunders, he's your reigning under 20 national champ, and Tommy Tapuni has claimed that title before as well. Jordan Bolland, of course, like we talked about, had that just amazing comeback in the 100 metres. Like, there's not very often that you include comeback and 100 metres in the same sentence. But to come back from that really awkward start. But there you can see that's a good indication of what's happening with the weather situation.
Yep. And one of the things I just want to point out that have all the boys had outfit changes? When we go back to them, just have a look. Every single one of them have outfit changes.
I like it.
Yeah.
Why not? the
I've
last,
seen some new
meet
speed
of the season, may as well.
You know, for the heats, come out in your speed suit and then got your split shorts on for the finals.
This is always a debate as well when you're doing multi-events across national champs. And what do you do about laundry if you've only got one kit of like your Auckland
Oh, look, once it's
uniform?
worn in, it's worn in. It's like a pair of shoes, right?
It just carries the smell of success
Yeah, exactly.
through the days. All right. So I don't have the lane draw in front of me, but we can tell you that those lanes 3, 4 and 5 will definitely be the ones to watch. So we've got Jordan Polland, Tommy Tapuni, and then Zachary Saunders next to him. And then it's Lewis Arthur on the outside and Ethan Bush wearing the headband. And we're away in the final of the 100 metres. Here we go. Jordan got that good start. He's pulling away from the field. Can anyone catch him? The big legs of Tommy Tapuni are coming. Here comes Zachary Saunders, but Jordan holds on for the win, edging out the other two youngsters. Jordan Bolland, he was your bronze medalist in the 100. He was your silver medalist in the 200 metres. Here he comes, finishing the season on a high. Big victory, claps the hands. Jordan Bolland, what a victory in the men's 100 metres. Let's have a look at this replay, Portia.
You can really see Jordan just absolutely going for it. So one of the big things that was really surprising, and I think you look at kind of Tommy and Zach, they were almost surprised that Jordan found a second wind, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, he's got the littlest legs, but he found it. They opened up, but he changed gears. And I was like, that was one of the things that I saw in that 100 that really gave him that edge in that point, is that, you know, he found a different gear, whereas the other guys looked to open up. And an amazing start from him. And I guess that's the kind of form that we were seeing him in at Nationals, if not for a stumble, right?
Yeah, so he's looking in great form now. We're still waiting for those results to come through. And like you say, to hold that speed, we know he's got the start, but to hold it when you've got these two long-legged antelopes just mowing you down next to you was pretty impressive. So we're just getting results through now with a 10.60 for Jordan Bolland. Is that a PB? I want to say it is. I'm just going to look through my notes here.
Cool, and then Tommy...
That's a PB.
PB for Jordan. Great way to finish the season. So plus 1.2 tailwind there, so perfect tailwind. Like I said, actually really great conditions. It's funny now because I look out out the window and I can see the wind's really picked up. See the flags blowing away down there. So Jordan will be stoked with it. And I think he's been in that kind of form for the last couple of weeks. And like I said, Nationals was actually a really good representation of it, because the fact that he could come back after the stumble goes to show that, you know, it was all there. He just needed to pull it together.
Also a PB for Tommy Tapuni by 0.04 of a second. So really cool to see him coming into good form to round out the season. And just outside a PB for Zachary Saunders. So very impressive 100-metre running. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break here at the Daikin Night of Fives to be back at 8:30 or 8:25 for the first of those 5,000-metre heats. You can see we've got 4 of them lining up. Set your alarms. Join us back here for session 2 in, what is it, a little over an hour. All right, ka kite anō. See you all soon.